please rise for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the posting of the colors and playing of our national anthem.
Detail. Pull. Right face. Diamond march. Present arms. Diamond march. Left face. Forward march.
Please be seated. I'd like to take a moment to thank the Navy Honor Guard team from the USS Constitution for their remarkable performance and professionalism. Please, round of applause. Good evening. On behalf of the United States Navy, the Program Executive Office, Team Submarines, and the entire Talent Pipeline Program team, we welcome you to the 2024 New England Talent Pipeline Project National Signing Day celebration. My name is Bo Brewer, and I've had the privilege of leading this New England Talent Pipeline team over the last year. The Signing Day celebration is the culmination of the Talent Pipeline Program year, and today we are here to celebrate the progress we've made over the last 12 months. While we are here today to celebrate the employers and the new hires starting careers in the industrial base, we could not have done it without the facilitators, training providers, family, and friends who have supported them and the TPP team. And as you will see today, the progress that this team has made in the last year has been nothing short than momentous. We started this journey in New England back in April of 2023, where a group of employers, training providers, and local stakeholders confirmed to the Navy that the talent acquisition and retention is a major barrier to increasing their capacity and are willing to do something different to overcome and accomplish the mission. Since then, this project has grown significantly. After the initial roundtable discussion, we learned a lot about this region and what it takes to be successful. An early learning to this Floridian was the reality of Boston traffic. Depending on the time of day and where you are, you might be better off just staying put, finding a place to eat. Another lesson I learned, if you are driving on I-95 in Maine, if you are not doing 95 miles an hour, do not drive in the left lane, not even if you're passing. Posted speed limit signs are merely a suggestion there. In all seriousness, the most important lesson learned Was there an abundance of talent, lots of support in each state, and employers that are eager for assistance to support the critical mission of increasing the capacity of the defense industrial base. Based on feedback from last year's current flags, the biggest improvement to the program was the introduction of the network groups and the implementation of the network coach role. So as we began our journey in New England, we broke the employers up into 4 networks and assigned a network coach to them. These coaches worked closely with every employer partner to understand their specific operational circumstances. They have helped work through each employer's challenges and developed tools based on gaps and implemented solutions to their talent acquisition and retention processes. Also, as any great coach does, they bring the team together and create those bonds between teammates. Each network has met multiple times this year to share best practices, lessons learned, and explore new solutions to current challenges. As of today, the New England Talent Pipeline team is proud to announce that we have 31 hiring employers with 392 new hires since July 1st of last year. Not only have we increased the overall workforce, but we have also changed the mindset in the talent acquisition retention process from the hire for skill, hope for fit, to hire for fit and train for skill. What a huge difference that makes. In a few moments, we are going to recognize the employers in New England for their efforts over the last 12 months. But before we do that, I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Meganne Atkins, the Executive Director for the Australian, United Kingdom, and United States Integration and Acquisition Program for Team Submarines, the United States Navy, the AUKUS program. Sticky. Ms. Atkins is a graduate from Stonehill College in Easton, Mass., earning a degree in Bachelor of Science and then graduating only a year later from the University of Rhode Island with her MBA. Ms. Atkins began her civilian service in 2006 at the Naval Undersea Warfare Center in Newport, Rhode Island, and then moved to Washington, D.C. in 2011 to work in new construction shipbuilding, delivering integrated, non-propulsion electronic systems, which directly led to the successful delivery of 8 Virginia-class submarines. Since then, she has served as Technical Director for the Advanced Development Program Executive Office, Integrated Warfare Systems, and as the Major Program Manager for Submarine Electromagnetic Systems, as well as the Deputy Program Manager for the Columbia-class Submarine Program Office, all leading to her current position as of December 2023 as the Executive Director for the AUKUS program. It is my privilege to invite to the podium New England's program sponsor, Miss Meganne Atkins.
Good afternoon. What an exciting day we have in front of us. I will say, Bo, I'm a Rhode Island native, as you know, and another trick is double parking only when triple parking is not available. I'd like to thank Bo for having me here today. He's really always brings great energy to us and the team here, so thanks for bringing us together. And we're getting to meet our new generation, new collar workforce this evening, which makes me very excited. I'd also like to share quickly Matt Sermon's regrets for not being able to make it here today. Trust me, he loves coming to these events. There is no one more passionate, dedicated, and borderline manic about our submarine industrial base and the New England Talent Pipeline program. But before I dive in, I wanted to take a moment to just reflect on the U.S. Constitution Color Guard. Our color guard represents not only our history, but it's our future. The U.S. Constitution is our living past. Her undefeated record against our enemies laid the foundation of our Navy, which has grown into the most powerful fighting force on the planet. The sailors who paraded the colors are assigned to the oldest ship in the Navy, and yes, the Constitution is still technically commissioned. However, they could be easily transferred to the Gerald R. Ford, the newest aircraft carrier, or even to the future USS Massachusetts, which will be commissioned here in 2025. So what does this mean to this group? It means that your work, your products, will someday be in the hands of our sailors. They may go over the horizon and into hostile waters. and they may be called to bring the awesome capabilities you delivered to defend our country. Or we've seen in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden, they will defend themselves and their crewmates and our civil mariners who keep the global economy moving. Today, our sailors are under attack. U.S. Carney, one of our oldest destroyers, which was commissioned more than 28 years ago, just got back from a deployment where their ship's crew successfully defeated more than 50 missiles and drones. They came back to our shores safe because we gave them the tools, technology, and training to execute their mission flawlessly. And it all starts with the people in this room. So thank you for what you do for all of us and our sailors, all of the women and men in uniform. So in addition to my role as the champion for the New England Talent Pipeline, and as Bo mentioned, I'm in the AUKUS INA office, and our mission is to deliver the President's commitment to Australia and the United Kingdom to develop and deliver a sovereign, conventionally armed, nuclear-powered attack submarine to the Royal Australian Navy. Developing our undersea warfare capabilities in the submarine industrial base in all 3 countries is a top priority for AUKUS and for the entire Department of the Navy. And we can't do it without all of you. So I wanted to take a second and just play our AUKUS commercial for all of you. I think we can, if it's on.
One where our shared values propel us towards a more secure future. Through AUKUS, a partnership built upon cutting-edge American, Australian, and British technologies, we'll develop state-of-the-art, next-generation submarines and build something stronger together, securing decades of peace and prosperity for America and our allies. We are going forward and staying forward together.
So the government is investing billions of dollars into our submarine industrial base. This is also known as the SIB. So we can expand our workforce, improve our infrastructure, increase our production needs to meet the Navy's needs. But you all, by signing with these companies here today, are absolutely essential to keeping our industrial base afloat. Joe, who you'll meet a little bit later, I don't know if you remember me, but I remember you very clearly. When I met Joe, she was working on one of the cobots in AccuRounds on their manufacturing floor. And to me, it was an example of this new collar workforce. Not blue collar, but new collar. And this is the workforce of the future. All the new hires we celebrate today really represent that new collar workforce. We are infusing technology, or I should say you are infusing technology into our traditionally blue collar roles, and our new collar workers are using technology to develop capabilities all over the DoD. It's keeping our homeland safe, and that service is vital to our country. I am very proud of all the work that you have all done, our facilitators, our companies, and our new hires today. So let's talk about submarines for a second. I'm a little biased, obviously based on my job, but I truly believe submarines are the backbone of our defense strategy. They're absolutely crucial to what we do in the Navy. They are the silent guardians of the sea, lurking beneath the surface, conducting critical missions, and always need to defend our nation at a moment's notice. And through the trilateral AUKUS partnership with Australia and the United Kingdom, we are not only ensuring our own security, we're also maintaining a free and Indo-Pacific, protecting our allies and deterring aggression from adversaries who seek to challenge our way of life. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Building up and maintaining our submarine fleet is not an easy task, especially today. Across the defense industry base and in every area of our workforce, in less than 1/3 of what we have had since the Cold War. We estimate that the submarine industrial base needs to hire 100,000 new employees over the next 10 years to meet our future procurement goals. More than 40 years ago, roughly 35% of our domestic product was in manufacturing. Today, we are about 12%. Back then, 34% of our workforce was in manufacturing. Today, we are at 11%. To deliver and maintain the submarines that our Navy needs, we have to hire about 10,000 people per year across the nation. And we can't just hire any average person off the street. From the people you'll meet tonight, you'll know that they are a highly skilled workforce and they have a commitment to excellence that is second to none. That's where all of you come in. Excuse me. Your talent, your dedication, and your passion for what you do are driving forces behind the quality and our ability to build submarines and keep them operational and ready to deploy at a moment's notice. What we're doing here, building our next generation industrial workforce, isn't easy. As I mentioned, our nation has changed so much over the last several decades that we are right now do not have the workforce needed to meet the needs of our defense industry. Sustaining the freedoms we have today and the peace we have become accustomed to requires that we have not just the best military in the world, but the most absolutely badass combat capability anyone can envision. I never want our sailors, Marines, soldiers, or airmen to go to fair fight. I want us to bring our capability to their shores and make sure that they look in the mirror and say, not today. Since World War II, we've had such a military. Over the decades, we have seen that gap between us and our political adversaries shrink. Don't get me wrong, we still hold the advantage today, but to ensure peace and prevent conflict, we must operate the best systems in the world, and that starts with all of you. Our future depends on our defense industrial base, and to be very parochial, our submarine industrial base. Investing in our SIB isn't about just building submarines. It's about investing in our nation's security and creating thousands of family-sustaining jobs nationwide that will bring impact for generations to come. We're not just building submarines, we're building the future that maintains and sustains our freedom and peace and prosperity around the globe. Working the SIB is a form of national service. Your work contributes to our defense. So to everyone who's walking across the stage tonight, I say this: embrace this moment. This is your time to shine, to show the world what you're made of. You're doing incredibly important work, and it directly impacts our national security. And together, we will continue to build a future that is safe and secure and full of endless possibilities. What's more, your future is incredibly bright. When you look back in history, you see inflection points that change the course of history. Steam, electricity, industrial revolution, mass production, technology revolution, they all shifted entire economies. I believe we are at an inflection point where we will see significant growth in the United States in industrial capacity, utilizing the latest technologies to meet what I see as an insatiable demand for the US-made goods, from electric cars, microchips, submarines, and more. And you all are on the ground floor. What we in the Navy call plank owners, which denotes that you were part of a crew that delivered the newest ship to the fleet. You are the leaders who will drive innovation and vision of what it is to be part of the new industrial workforce. And one last thought before I leave the podium. I had the pleasure of meeting Mark Tamasi, president of CEO AccuRounds, and get to go around his shop. Something that really struck me at the company was their core values. And those are gratitude, excellence, team first, initiative, and trust. And I saw these values everywhere I looked, from the way the people collaborated to the impressive technology and innovation on display. And one sign in particular stood out to me. It said, "We partner people with technology." That phrase perfectly encapsulates the new collar spirit of what we are trying to achieve. It also epitomizes the soul of our country's industrial base. And I use the word soul purposely. Business and industry is considered to be the cutthroat, competitive survival of the fittest, and there's legitimacy to that perspective. However, soul, that distinct human component that brings together and that binds people together, one another, creates synergy and brings people together. That is what makes our smaller businesses stand out to me. By embracing the people, trusting them, one of AccuRounds' core values, we get the best out of everyone. We build the capacity for learning, experimentation, growth, innovation, and a commitment to our shared missions and goals. It's the soulfully family-owned small businesses that are the ones creating a vibrant, dynamic economy. And I would not only like to thank our signatories here today, but also the companies who, by participating in the New England Talent Pipeline, demonstrate not just the commitment to our own uniformed personnel, but also to people whom they bring into their work family. Thank you all for being here, and allow me to say one more word before I leave. To me, I read this really impactful book, and it's called Legacy. And in it, there's a chapter about sacrifice. And when I read about it, it says, choose something that you'd be willing to die for and dedicate your life to it. And that's what I've done in the Navy. I wasn't in the military. I've been a civil servant my whole life. And I think everyone in this room today who's a new hire is taking their first step on the journey to make that sacrifice to their country. I'm very, very proud of everyone here tonight. Thank you for all the companies who are taking that first step, and our new hires. Good luck on your journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Atkins, for that incredible keynote. Now, I'd like to acknowledge the following individuals and their organizations who are with us today. Please stand when I call your name and remain standing. Training providers, UMass Lowell, Nashua Community College, Center for Manufacturing Technology, Asabat Valley, South Shore Regional VOTEC, Monty-Tech, York County Community College. Please remain standing. Facilitator partners, Portsmouth Naval Shipyard, Synedia, NDIA, Massachusetts Technology Collaborative, NAMC, New Hampshire MEP, Massachusetts MEP, Maine MEP. Please join me in a round of applause for these partners who without, go ahead. Without whom the Talent Pipeline program could not and would not have been as successful. Thank you. The goal for every employer is to find a new teammate to become a lifelong, productive, and engaged member of their team. Our two speakers who are here today are representing a core relationship in our program, the new hire and the employer. In the talent acquisition and retention, no one finds a job. An employer gives somebody the opportunity. So before we hear from this year's new hire speaker, I'd like to welcome to the stage Mike Tamasi, President and CEO for AccuRounds, to introduce his new hire.
Thank you, Bo. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michael Tamasi, President and CEO of AccuRounds. We are a 73-person company located in Avon, Massachusetts. We do contract precision machining, shafts, pins, and valves of high tolerance. And I wasn't quite sure if we were part of the submarine industrial base, but we had a customer visit about 6 months ago, and some of the parts that we make do in fact end up in submarines. So we're pretty honored to be part of this, this coalition, if you will. First off, I'd like to thank the Navy's commitment to this program. For them to fund TMG and support flags across the country is extremely impressive, and it shows their commitment to our national security. And I don't know about you, but I just feel really touched with the videos and the initial comments. I almost wish I was 45 years younger and ready to join the service, because I'll tell you, we need more of this, and we need to promote more of this across the country. I won't go there, but I want to thank Commander Master Chief Jeff Hiscox, obviously Meganne Atkins, and thank you for your kind words, and Erica Logan for really putting the funding and the support and the people behind this program. Of course, Barto, and Bo Ambrose, and Ryan O'Donnell, and the entire TMG team who have committed resources. I believe there's 6 flags currently and maybe more in the works. And you know, they're spread out across the country doing really good, important work. Some of the statistics that Meganne just mentioned are pretty sobering and alarming, that we've retrenched so much in manufacturing in this country. But there's still a strong core, and we just need to continue to promote opportunities like this to attract the talent that we need to support programs and others of this nature. And finally, for the thank yous, I'd like to thank all of you, the employers and the new hires, for participating in the program, for networking, for offering your best practices, for learning from TMG and implementing those in your companies to make your hiring, retention, orientation programs that much stronger, to assure that we have the workforce of the future. So I have the honor of introducing our new student hire speaker, Johannelys, Gonzalez, Rivera. We met Joe, actually Sonia, who's in the audience, a team member of ours, met her at a career day at her school, Diamond Regional in Fall River. And she immediately impressed Sonia, so much so that she came back and said, we want to hire this individual as a co-op. So we hired Joe. She started in October of last year. And it was either on day one or day two, but when I was walking the shop, she was alone running a machine, which is extremely impressive. By within the next couple of weeks, she was not only running one machine, she was running two machines. So to see that type of talent, see how impressive she was as an individual, she really wanted to learn. And I believe that, you know, as far as youth goes today, she is, in a sense, beyond her years. She knows what she wanted. She was excited to join this program at Diamond Regional. And you could see it throughout her, you know, work, career, and co-op program at AccuRounds, and she's graduating, I believe, on Wednesday, that she wants to continue. And our goal when we hire co-ops is to hopefully encourage them to continue their careers in our industry, whether it be moving on to college, becoming an engineer, staying at a company like ours, moving on to other companies. We work with 8 different vocational technical schools across Massachusetts and the South Shore. We've been hiring co-ops for, jeepers, at least 35 years or so, maybe 40. It's our biggest pipeline of talent. And I think it's a huge opportunity for this program to reach out to these Voc Tech schools. I know some of the partners are here, South Shore Voc Tech in particular, who I visited recently with another program. They're tremendous finding grounds for these students to learn and to grow. So, you know, it's amazing to see the maturity. And I didn't talk to Joe about this, but I believe she actually had a second job at McDonald's. And McDonald's was so excited to have her working there that they started to put her through a training program to become a manager. Now, too bad for McDonald's, but good for our future workforce that she's going to stay in manufacturing, which is exciting. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Johannelys Gonzalez Rivera. Joe.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Joe Gonzalez Rivera, and I'm a CNC machinist at AccuRounds. And I'm mainly here to speak with our guests today about my journey through manufacturing. When I was originally entering high school, I wanted to become an engineer. I had a goal of learning the designing and creating process of the machinery and products of the world. I went to Diamond Voc Tech, a high school that trains kids to work in specific trades. While I was exploring the different trades at Diamond, I found the Advanced Manufacturing Technology program, the machine shop of the school. There, I discovered that machining is where the parts for essentially everything that we use is created. Throughout the years, I got to learn how to blueprint read, set up machines for a specific part, and pick the right materials for that part. I even got to advance into programming the machines so that they could manufacture on their own and I could continue working on separate projects. My teachers also focused on enhancing our problem-solving skills, and they encouraged us to design our own products so that we could begin to understand how to design something that will work for the job it's supposed to carry out. Once I gained the experience I needed to go out onto the field, I joined the AccuRounds team. And there, I got to learn a fair amount about the inspection process of those parts. This is making sure the part is the right size, that the surface is smooth enough, and that the part is clean enough. Some things you wouldn't really think about if you didn't get to experience that. I also continue to see the creativity involved when creating a process to manufacture a specific part. There are a million different ways to create something, and I get to see the team design those processes and work together to improve them. I would like to thank Mike Tamasi for giving me the opportunity to learn with his company, and a thank you to the team for being so willing to teach me. Overall, all of the experience I gained makes a greater engineer. It teaches you almost everything you need to know about designing and building whatever you put your mind to. You get to learn to understand how parts work together on machinery and also how to make it more efficient. I cannot tell you how many stories I hear about engineers who only went to college designing a product that fails because they don't really understand how it's going to be made or even how it's really going to work. Manufacturing is also a really great trade to start in if you are unsure of what you would like to do with your life. There are shops that manufacture for our military's weapons and vehicles, which is very important for defending our country. And there are even shops that manufacture parts for race cars, for phones, and for medical equipment, which will of course benefit the health of others. They are quite literally the foundation for all of our technology, and you can gain so much from working in them. I personally have struggled financially, and who hasn't at some point, but I've had to work to support my family, and I will be living on my own pretty soon. Despite that, for the past year or two, I've learned to manage my finances and handle the responsibility of paying bills. And I was also able to overcome that thanks to the help of the manufacturing industry. There are shops willing to take in the inexperienced and train them. I was able to have a job that taught me a lot and paid a decent amount for a high school student. I was able to gain money, but besides that, I also gained experience and a lot of lifelong skills, and I haven't even gone to college yet. Sorry. I will continue to grow my skills as a machinist as I'm going to continue working in the industry. And as there's always something to learn, and it's a career that can support me in plenty of ways. There's so much that you can achieve, our guests here today who might not be working in this industry. I said, there's designing products, there's programming, assembling, and lots of creativity and problem solving is involved as well. I would recommend it to anyone figuring out what they want to accomplish or looking for an amazing career to start in. I'd like to thank my shop instructors who have taught me and gotten me here today, along with everyone who has supported me. And thank you to everyone here listening this evening.
Thank you, Joe, for sharing. Outstanding job. Now for the main event. In the next portion of this program, we will hear from 4 of our employers who will be representing their networks. After their speeches, we will invite the representatives from each employer partner and their new hire who are here with them today up on stage to be recognized. Employers will receive a plaque in recognition of their hard work and dedication to recruit, hire, onboard, and retain the critical teammates needed to increase the capacity of the Defense Industrial Base. And the new hires will receive a challenge coin. Challenge coins are a time-honored tradition in the United States military that serves as a symbol of membership, belonging, and camaraderie, forging a strong bond among those who possess them. And this coin is used to acknowledge an individual's achievement, their dedication to the mission, and or to their service. The challenge coin serves as a tangible reminder of the appreciation and respect from their peers and their superiors. Receiving a challenge coin is a great honor, as it signifies the recipient has played a significant role in the mission their team has accomplished. The challenge coins presented today are to commemorate their decision to serve their country as a member of the Defense Industrial Base. May it serve as a reminder that you are part of something bigger than yourself, and that your chosen profession is noble and critical to the defense of this great nation. Without further ado, I'd like to call to the stage the network coach for Network 1, Joe Barto.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Joe Barto, and I served as the coach for Network 1 for the past year. Network 1 covers Massachusetts to the south and west of Boston. This year, we have had 11 hiring employers announcing 218 new hires. Employers in our network this year focused on following tools such as world-class first day, leader retention training, fifth metric scorecard. The best practice model, Hutchinson, who we'll hear from later, was also in our network. Our employer who will be speaking for Network 1 is Rolls-Royce Defense Naval Marine. Rolls-Royce is happy to report 20 new hires this year from their locations in Walpole, Massachusetts, and Pascagoula, Mississippi. Please welcome to the stage for his remarks, Head of Naval Operations, Mr. Dan Rediger.
Evening, everyone. Thank you. Before I start, can we just give Joe another round of applause? Because really impressive speech. I'm proud to be here with a number of new hires tonight. Listening to Joe talk, gives us, a lot of faith in what we can do going forward. I'm responsible. I work out of our Walpole location, but I'm responsible for our site here and a site in Pascagoula, Mississippi. And together we make propellers for the U.S. Navy. In fact, we make over 90% of the Navy surface fleet propellers, and since 2017. A growing number of submarine components for Virginia class, hopefully someday Columbia and AUKUS. Meganne gave me a little bit of permission here, so she said, I was a little bit skeptical when I put my speech, but she said we have badass submarines. I graduated from Ohio State, where we have the best damn band in the land, but I like to tell people we must make the best damn propellers in the land. Really, really, really unique. So, just kind of a little bit of perspective about what we do. You've seen the build submarines, NASCAR. Hopefully everyone has seen that now. 750 horsepower, pretty impressive. A DDG class destroyer, and I'm going to use surface ships because I can't say the fun stuff about submarines. 100,000 horsepower through the two propellers in that ship, right? So it's like 130 NASCARs. It's like the entire race, probably two of them. We make water jets for the LCS Littoral Combat Ship. Those 4 water jets would drain an Olympic swimming pool in 20 seconds, right? Just perspective. And finally, the foundry that I run, 180,000 pounds of port capacity. So if any of you have flown on a 737, that's the takeoff weight of the entire plane. And that's what it takes to make some of the components for our U.S. Navy. So while this is impressive, when we deliver the systems that we do, completely reliant on a really talented workforce. So the folks here with me today, machinists, assemblers, welders, grinders, and maintenance team, and engineers. Without them, we can't do what we do. And really in 2018, as we came out of sequestration and our business started to really grow, we realized we didn't have enough capacity, both infrastructure and people. We really started to ramp and work a lot with our industrial base. So we worked with the SIB and the SCIB teams, under Matt Evans, Whitney Jones, under Matt Sermon, who's been a huge supporter of us, and pass my thank you to him. We got approval. Matt always tells stories, and he's this unique capability to tell a story about this day in history that's somehow relevant to what he's talking about. I don't know how he does it. I tried. I was a few days off, but it was almost 4 years ago today that we got approval to build our new facility in Mississippi. And at the time, I thought the hard part was going to be building the facility and putting the stuff in it, and it turned out I couldn't be more wrong. It was much harder to actually get the workforce we need. So we started a number of programs. We started hiring co-ops, apprentices. We did Facebook ads. I had no idea I'd be designing Facebook ads, Google ads. And as we went, it was just very much a shoot from the hip type approach and try it, see if it works. So when Joe Barto came to me and said, hey, we've got this opportunity, this New England Talent Pipeline project, I was like, I'm in, right? What is everyone else doing that's working? Because I'm not quite sure. We're winning some, we're losing, but day to day, it was a bit of a crapshoot. So as we joined that, I've been really impressed. We've got a couple suppliers here, AccuRounds, the facilitators and training network. So we did lunch and learn events with AccuRounds. We went and visited South Shore Vocational Tech. And just getting out of our bubble and having actual conversations about what we're doing here has been super powerful for us. I want to definitely thank our network coaches, wherever they went. So Ryan, Bo, Joey, who started with us. We currently working on our world-class first day deployment. I lovingly say we've hired 20 folks. I don't know that we've given all 20 folks that have started with us a world-class first impression. So, we need to get better in that space, right? And this just gives us a chance to kind of think about what we're doing there. Really, really personally excited to be part of this whole thing. Definitely thank you to the TMG team, to the Navy, to Commander Master Chief here who supports us along the way. Really, really appreciate everything they're doing and the focus, because this really is a monumental effort. I can't stress, I thought just sticking the Rolls-Royce name on a sign and saying we're hiring, we'd be able to go get people. And that has been the furthest thing from the truth. And sometimes we get lucky and I just steal someone from somebody else and then they've got a hole, right? It's not working. So we need to do more of this, and really appreciate and happy to be a part of this, so thank you.
Thanks, Dan. The new hires represented today for Rolls-Royce: Feeder Drown, Eric Furman, Ethan Brownbill, Kyle Winterbach, Paul Andre, and Justin Robinson. Our next employer is Boston Ship Repair, represented by Bruce Zanoli, Chief Financial Officer. Boston Ship Repair is happy to report 7 new hires this year. Our next employer is Massa Products Corporation, represented by Don Stakanovich, President and CEO. Massa is happy to report 11 new hires this year.
Metals came up first. Oh, metals.
I apologize, that was Metals. Plant Manager Bob Cardabin. Metals is happy to report they hired 1 new person this year.
Now Massa. Don. Now Massa.
Nope, it's fine. Our next employer is Globe Composite, represented by Joe McCadden, President. Globe Composite is happy to report 17 new hires. And new hires with him here today: Josen Alves, Danny Timas, Ivan Sanchez, Edson Pereira, Luke Holman, Mario Francesco, Robbie Cardozo, and Giovanni Andrade. Now, Massa Products, represented by Don Stakanovich, President and CEO. Massa is happy to report 11 new hires this year. Our next employer is D.W. Clark, represented by Jeff Burek, President. D.W. Clark is happy to report 6 new hires. With him today, Ahmad Danish and Nurudun Imamzada. On another note, these 2 young gentlemen here are from the Afghan Allies program. So if you want to learn more about that, you can talk to Jeff and his experience, very positive experience of hiring from the Afghan Allies program. Next up is Consolidated Precision Products, Woolston Alloys. Represented by Bill Sapp, Vice President and General Manager. Woolston Alloys is happy to report 12 new hires. The new hires here today, Jasmine Sakta and Max Fricella. Our next employer is Hutchinson Aerospace Industry, who is also our best practice model this year, represented by CEO Bob Anderson. Hutchinson is happy to report 70 new hires this year. New hires with us here today, Paul Filio Colon, Giovanni Ferreira, and Gianni Rivera. Last but not least, for Network One, AccuRounds. Our final employer, AccuRounds, represented by Mike Tamasi, President and CEO. AccuRounds is happy to report 4 new hires. With him here today, Matthew Liu, Richard Mazzoli, as well as Joe, who you met earlier. Thank you. Next up, I'd like to introduce Mr. Bo Brewer, the flag lead and the coach of Network 2.
Now I get to switch podium. I planned all this, by the way. This is great. Well, I'm also the current coach for Network 2, which is in Massachusetts to the west and north of Boston. This year, we have a total of 9 hiring employers announcing 68 new hires. Employers in our network this year focused on the following tools: behavioral-based interviews, world-class first day, leader retention training, and 5th metric scorecard implementation. Our employer who will be speaking for Network 2 is Samtan Engineering, a Fairbanks-Morse company. Samtan Engineering is happy to report 3 new hires this year from the location in Malden, Massachusetts. Please welcome to the stage General Manager Dana Miele. You know I messed that up.
All right. Thanks, Bo. Thank you very much. I'm looking at this thinking it's a teleprompter that my words are going to pop up here right now, and I can barely see mine. But very exciting, and I'm very happy to be part of this. And Dan, I don't think I can follow that up. We make pipe hangers that hold all the liquids and the air that goes through this, so, you know, we're still part of it. But been in the industry for about 35 years now, and watching the ups and downs of this labor force. Very difficult, very crazy. And then having these guys come to us last April to be part of what they're building here for our new labor force was incredible. So we had to say yes, right? There's no way we could say no. We're searching, we're under benches, we're going to parks, we're on the streets looking for these employees, and we just can't find them. So since joining this talent pipeline about a year ago, the networking, the lunch and learns, we've learned so much from everybody in this room and applied it to our business that makes us successful today, right? Well, I think I need some water up here. So we utilized the 30, 60, 90 fit program, right? And when we did this, we were just looking for experienced people. We're looking at their resumes saying, no, they're not experienced enough. And then when we joined this industry here with Talent Pipeline, we said, well, wait a minute, the fit is it's a good product, right? Because we can always teach them. They have a little bit of knowledge, we can teach them. So we started hiring for fit, and we've hired 3 hires in the last year. And we've hired application engineer, we've hired a lead machinist, we've hired a process engineer. These guys came in with the right attitude, brought the team together, started think tank meetings, we started team leadership meetings. From these leadership meetings and these think tank meetings, we started training matrix for the growth of the employees, and they started wanting to be at the work site a little bit more. Instead of just pushing a button on a press or a machine, they had growth opportunities now, they had a career. So we made levels in these careers, right? So these guys are saying, hey, I'm an operator 1, what can I do to be an operator 2? What can I do to be an operator 3? So we've created this, and now we're starting to drag this out to our quality department, we're starting to drag this out to different departments. And it's fantastic, because we wouldn't have done this without the help of the networking and the ideas from everybody in this room that we've networked with. So this has really opened up the doors for a lot of people to want to come. We have people coming from family members that want to be in there for a career now, not just to push a button. So it's making us proud. So we've implemented a lot of ideas that helped us sustain our culture, right? We can put that culture in, but we were noticing that we put the culture in and it was dropping. It was dropping. Talent Pipeline comes by, and we start getting the ideas from all these networking that now we're starting to sustain this culture. So we have the attitudes and we have the demeanors from the new hires that's rubbing off on the people that have been there, and now the culture is being sustained. So it's working, and I appreciate all the work you guys are putting into this. It's helping us a lot. So continuing this journey with Talent Pipeline, I'm really looking forward to seeing what we have next, to see what's coming next, to see all the network ideas, to see how we can implement more, get more people in, because we're growing. I mean, we've grown 50% over the last 3 years at Samtan and Malden, part of Fairbanks Morse now, and we want to grow more, but without the employees, without the right talent that we could have, we're not going to be able to do that. So again, I appreciate you guys, and thank you very much.
New hires here with us today are Jade Jeffords and Scott McDaniel. Our next employer is the Entwistle Company, represented by President Wade Phillips. The Entwistle Company is happy to report 10 new hires. New hire here with us today is Bianca Oliveira. Our next employer is Leonardo DRS, Naval Power Systems, represented by Senior Vice President and General Manager John Miller. Leonardo DRS is happy to report 8 new hires. New hires here with us today are Brandon Bosher, Walter Estrada, Tim Groff, and Michelle Roach.
Thanks, guys. Can you let me know today?
Our next employer is American Flowform, a machining, represented by President Dennis Corga. America Flowform and Machining is happy to report 22 new hires. Our next employer is Corrosion Materials, Inc., represented by General Manager Henry Scott. Corrosion Materials, Inc. is happy to report 1 new hire. New hire here with us today is Brian Chenard. Our last employer in Network 2 is Custom Machine, Inc., represented by President Michael Pachado. Custom Machine, Inc. is happy to report 3 new hires. New hires with us today is Brandon Bitto. All right, another round of applause for Network 2. Now I'd like to introduce the coach for Network 3, Mr. Joe Rizzo.
Hello, my name is Joe Rizzo. I'm the coach for Network 3, which comprises the states of Maine and New Hampshire. We have grown since the last time we met. We now have 9 employee partners, 6 employers in Cohort 1, 3 employers in Cohort 3. In addition, we've partnered with 6 community colleges and 4 facilitators, including Portsmouth Naval Shipyard. The 6 employee partners in Cohort 1 have 89 new hires. Employee partners in our network this year have focused on world-class first day, 30, 60, 90-day review, leader retention training, and 5th metric scorecard. Our employer partner speaker who will be speaking for Network 3 is American Steel and Aluminum. American Steel and Aluminum is happy to report 40 new hires this year in their locations in Auburn, Massachusetts, Greenfield, New Hampshire, and South Portland, Maine. They are members of Network 2 and 3. Please welcome to the stage Chief Compliance Officer Manny Molina.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joe. Really appreciate the introduction. I have noticed today that there's a little bit of low energy up here, so I wanted to kind of open things up by just, setting the tone that this is a very celebratory event and certainly a reason for us to not just recognize the contributions of the Navy, but also of everybody here and more importantly, all of our new hires. So thank you to everyone that's here and the new hires. My name is Manny Molina, as Joe had mentioned. I'm the Chief Compliance Officer for American Steel and Aluminum, or as we call it simply, ASA. We've been in business since 1806, predominantly just serving as a supply house distribution organization of raw materials, specifically of various metals. But really in the last 3 to 4 years, we've transcended into the fabrication space where we've served as a key partner to organizations such as Electric Boat and BIW, and really it's kind of spearheaded a monumental effort on our organization, not only on a growth standpoint, but future projection aspect. And I share that because in my role overseeing not just compliance, but more specifically HR, it's been a tremendous opportunity for us to use this business relationship and true partnership with the Navy to advocate to employees as to the impact that they're making long term, as well as the impact that they can have in securing and stabilizing the defense of this nation long term. That being the case, of course, We've been privileged to be part of both Network 2 and 3. I was told that my speech had to be minimized to 5 minutes, but because we're part of 2 networks, I'm going to take up to 10, if that's okay.
It's your podium.
Thank you. So with the program, it's allowed us to do a lot of different things, but most importantly, I think what the impact has been, we've always strived to be an employer of choice, but the program's allowed us to really, spearhead our efforts to become truly a world-class organization. And not just in, again, the best practices and the systems that we have in place, but truly bringing in the best talent that we can within the organization. We've partnered with a lot of academic institutions, vocational schools. We've partnered with the local network employers as well. The lunch and learns have been fantastic and really given us the opportunity to bounce ideas off, realizing that we all share the same goal at the end of the day. We've also been able to utilize the leader retention training, which has been part of a leadership development program as a whole that we've instituted to really make sure that not only do we have world-class talent, but we have the best leaders to guide them moving forward. And ultimately, at the end of the day, our HR processes have really just completely been revamped to truly become what we consider industry leading. And I'm very grateful and proud, not only of the team that we have at ASA, but also of the support that we've received from the Navy, TMG, and this program as a whole. Thank you. That being the case, I just wanted to close here by giving recognition as well to my HR team that is here. I won't embarrass them. I promised I would not do that. But of course, none of this would be possible without them, so thank you so much, ladies, for all that you do.
The new hires with us today are Jessica Capon, Curtis Hilton, and Dolly Ramos. Our next employer is Granite State Manufacturing, represented by Keith Rattay, Director of Business Development. Granite State Manufacturing is happy to report 30 new hires. A new hire with us today is Kyle Ping. Our next employer is Midstate Machine, a division of Precision Holdings, represented by Wes Johnston, General Manager, Midstate Machine. Midstate Machine is happy to report 21 new hires from their location in Winslow, Maine. Our next employer is D&G Machine Products, represented by Steve Sullivan, Senior Partner. D&G Machine Products is happy to report 2 new hires. New hire with us today is Fred Smalley. And now I'd like to introduce the network coach for Network 4, who is no stranger to us, Brewer.
This is how you get status at Marriott, you travel a lot. Well, no surprise, I'm also the coach of Network 4, which is in Connecticut. This year we have a total of 5 hiring employers, announcing 19 new hires. Employers in our network this year focus on the following tools: behavioral-based interviews, world-class first day, realistic job preview, leader retention training, and 5th metric scorecard implementation. Our employer who will be speaking for Network 4 is Habco Industries. Habco is happy to report 8 new hires this year from their location in Glastonbury, Connecticut. Please welcome to the stage for his remarks, President and CEO Brian Montanari.
Hi, I'm Brian Montanari, President and CEO of Habco Industries. We're a bit of a lone wolf in the program here. One, we're the only company from Connecticut represented today. And two, we're heavily into the defense industrial base, but we currently don't supply the NAVSEA or the shipbuilding industry at all. But I've known Joe for about 20 years, and when Joe called me to tell me about this program, anytime Joe calls me with something, it's something I should seriously consider. So when he was telling me about the program, I was happy to participate, happy to share some of my contacts, and was really eager to figure out what this program was all about and how Habco could benefit from it. When we started going to the program and seeing some of the events that were going on in some of the programs, it was fantastic. It was eye-opening in a lot of areas. The first thing that we looked at was the leader retention training. It's training that I went through almost 20 years ago with Joe, a subset of that training almost 20 years ago with Joe at West Point. But when we were able to bring that in-house to Habco, to have all of our employees together, all of our leaders together going through that training, it was eye-opening. It was transformational to just listen to the conversations that go on. And even to this day, in our leadership team meetings and executive team meetings, the topics from that conversation, from that training come up on a regular basis. We're heavily into the aftermarket of the aerospace industry. So I mentioned we don't do anything in the shipbuilding side, but this is something for us when we look at the programs and the projects and the tools. It goes across all industries and all projects. We're in the non-sexy part of the aerospace industry. A lot of folks like to be on the aircraft or on the engine. All of our product supports the engine and airframe when it's in for service. And so we're about 50-50 between commercial and military applications. We support the engine and the airframe. We sell to the OEM and the end user, and we sell to both fixed wing and rotary wing aircraft. And trying to take what we do for a living and transfer that into this industry is something that's been a very big focus of us and of our business for years. Some of the tools that we've participated in, we started off, again, the leader retention training, but the other one that we really latched onto is the 5th metric scorecard. That 5th metric scorecard, now we've been focusing a lot on our mid-level management and especially our next generation leaders. And to have them go through this and see this tool that's easy to use, it's simple to understand, and most importantly, it's actionable. Now, I thought we were pretty good in this area with our feedback loops, our review process, and the metrics that we have associated to it. But once we started implementing the 5th metric scorecard, we've only been doing it for 5 months. The conversations that are happening on a regular basis are fantastic. The accountability at that level of the organization for us has gone through the roof. The number of conversations about employees that are engaged, disengaged, or actively disengaged has been fantastic. And instead of waiting for a review cycle that's a year later, or when it's too late, when employees are already mentally checked out and wanting to leave, it's forcing those conversations to happen on a regular basis. And it's been fantastic to see employees that in the past we might have gone to the let's manage them out, to now being employees that are instrumental to our business, and it's from that level of leadership that's really latched onto that. Another one of the tools that we've really loved is the realistic job preview. Now, when I sat in the first event that Joe invited me to with our head of HR, with Carol, and one of the employees showed their realistic job preview, it was a big aha moment for me. It's unbelievable to see these job previews. And when you have a prospective employee it's far better than looking at black and white text on a job description, far better than listening to somebody like me or somebody from the executive team talk about the business. But to hear from folks that are in the process every day, what it's like to be a Habco employee on a daily basis has been fantastic. But there's the unintended benefits that came from that were also fantastic. To see some of our employees that were being interviewed to do these realistic job previews come out of their shell is fantastic. We initially looked at hiring a company to come in and do the videos for us, but in today's TikTok generation, the number of employees a number of people that can make videos very professionally is fantastic. So our VP of Finance, her daughter, who's a junior in high school, came in and did all of our videos for us. And to watch her get better at interviewing was fantastic. But to watch employees who at first clammed up in front of the camera, to then all of a sudden talking about what they do and having these videos come out have been fantastic. Other people, it's like they've been in videos their whole lives and should have been on camera. But the best part of this is not just for prospective employees to see what life at Habco is like. The internal recognition and pride that's come from these videos have been fantastic. Every time we do a new RJP, we do monthly all-hands meetings, we show one at the all-hands meetings. And to see the pride from the employees that were highlighted, and then all the conversations that happen on a regular basis, after those videos from the rest of their peers has been fantastic. So for us, even though we've only been in this program for 9 months, which is why we don't have any of our new hires here, we're waiting until we hit that 1 year mark from a retention basis for them to come and get their recognition. And hopefully we'll have a flag in Connecticut at that point where we can do it in Connecticut. So we've only been in the program for the 9 months, but the return on investment has been fantastic. It's just another one of these kudos in the Joe Barto checkbox for me that just allows me to trust him implicitly with anything he calls me with. So we're excited about being in the program. Thanks for all the support. Thanks for everything you guys do.
Thanks.
Never too late to join the Nazi contract team.
Exactly.
That's right.
Y'all stole my thunder. Please join me in a final round of applause for all of our employers and new teammates. I'm back to Flag League. I'd like to recognize my network coaches for all of their hard work and dedication over the last year. We would not be where we're at today without your professionalism and guidance to our partners of this program and to me. Joe Barto, Ryan O'Donnell, and Joe Rizzo, thank you. Joe Barto will be leaving New England and taking the role of flag lead for Long Island, and Ryan O'Donnell will be taking over and continuing leading Network 1 as their coach. We are now moving on from the hiring phase of this program and focusing on the retention of the new hires. Over the next year, the network coaches will be working with the employers to track these new hires through their first year anniversary while continuing to improve their talent acquisition and retention systems and track the next set of new hires that will be made over the next year. Our goal next year is to increase our hiring employers to 60 throughout New England. In order to meet this goal, we have added another network, Network 5, which will be in New Hampshire. And I'm excited to announce that Alex Logan will be taking the lead as the network coach of this region. Alex, where are you at? There he is. I'm also excited to announce that Eli Vanner will be taking over as the coach for Network 2. And Steve Russo has joined our team in Connecticut and will be the coach for Network 4. Eli, Steve. So next year, you won't see me bouncing back and forth like this. I would also like to recognize our partnership with the Greater Boston Manufacturing Partnership, GBMP. And here with us today is Karen Sontag. GBMP is our local partner engagement coordinator and will help us continue to grow the New England region. I would also like to extend a warm welcome to some of our new employers who will be joining us for next year's cohort. Your participation and commitment are crucial to the continued success and growth of this program. Please stand when called to be recognized. Here with us today are L3 Harris, BCD Metal Products, United Tool and Machine, Salem Metal, the Hiller Company, Turmoil Manufacturing, Mohawk Northeast, Copia Specialty Contractors. All right, there we go. Now we're getting some movement. Kennebec Technologies. Round of applause, please. I would also like to announce our best practice model for 2024 through 2026, which is Wollaston Alloys, a consolidated precision products company led by VP GM Bill Sapp. The network coach will be Eli Vanner with support from Ryan O'Donnell, myself, and previous best practice model, Hutchinson Aerospace and Industry. Round of applause, please. Applause. The New England team is excited and ready to continue our work with our employer partners this next cohort. Together, we will strengthen the capacity of the Defense Industrial Base, ensuring the thriving ecosystem for talent development and retention will be present for years to come. Before transitioning into the National Signing Day of this event, I'd like to take a moment to recognize our teammates of the day. The recognition is part of every major milestone event where we present a game ball to actively engaged and partners who get it. These awards are presented to those partners at every event, and today is no different. So first, I'd like to recognize our new hire speaker. It takes a lot of courage and spirit to volunteer to stand up in front of an audience this size and tell your story. Johannelys Gonzalez Rivera, Mike Tamasi, Joey Barto, and Ryan O'Donnell, will you please join me up on stage? Master Chief, Meganne. You guys stay. Next, I'd like to recognize our Cohort 1 best practice model. Taking on the responsibility of being a first best practice model in a new flag, it's not an easy task by no means. You and your team have been fantastic and true professionals to work with, and we look forward to continuing this relationship as we move forward into the next cohort. Bob Anderson from Hutchinson Aerospace. That into the tank. You could, yeah. I probably wouldn't hit the bag. We are now transitioning from the New England Talent Pipeline Project Signing Day to the National Signing Day event. And I'd like to introduce our next speaker. Joe Barto, Program Leader for the United States Navy Talent Pipeline Program, will be leading you over the next hour. A 1978 graduate from the United States Military Academy, Joe began his journey of building high-performance teams in 1973, when he was recruited to play basketball at West Point under a brand-new coach who would later become the winningest coach in Division I NCAA basketball history, Mike Krzyzewski, Coach K. Drawing on his experiences as a West Point cadet, 20 years as an officer in the United States Army, including leadership in combat as the executive officer, Task Force 2nd Squadron, 4th Cavalry, leading the 24th Infantry Division, famous left hook during Operation Desert Storm, and another 20 years of running his own high-performance team, Joe has led the talent pipeline team from 6 employers in the Philadelphia region in April 2021 to over 300 employers 3 years later in 7 regions across the United States. It is my privilege to invite to the podium Joe Barto.
Jeez, Bob. Excuse me.
You need a water?
I'm good. I think I'm good. Well, an amazing day. You know, we always get some feedback that, you know, the talks are a little repetitive. I could sit here for the next 5 days listening to these things. It's just an incredible statement on what we're doing nationally. So today is at the very first National Signing Day. We are now here to recognize our accomplishments, celebrate our progress, and launch the next phase of our journey to energize the American Defense Industrial Base. That's really an important decision that the Navy made about this program over the last 4 months. We used to be very focused on submarines, which is really an important program. But we know to American manufacturing, submarines is just one component. It is the entire Navy recapitalization. More importantly, it's the entire defense industrial base that is really the focus of this program as we move forward. There are no barriers. The other piece of this program that you all need to know is we have been maniacally focused on the small and medium-sized companies in America. They're those companies that are under 50. As we've worked over the last year, the company that is an 11-person manufacturing machine shop is as important to us as an 800, 900-person company hiring 100 people. In fact, at this meeting, when we did the demand signal roundtable and the kickoff meeting, to have employers to say, for the first time in 30 years in this business, that the Navy has seen me. You know, not just an email message where people say you ought to go do all this stuff to get you take advantage of these programs. The program came and understood me and helped me in a way that I couldn't help myself. That is what I call the heartbeat of American manufacturing. We use that metaphor a lot when we work with your companies, because in every organization there are leaders that represent the heartbeat of your business. When the heartbeat has a good day, who has a good day? Everybody. When the heartbeat has a bad day, who has a bad day? We all know what that feels like. You represent the heartbeat of American manufacturing. That is why we're maniacally focused on you. Now I want to introduce our customer. Admiral Caudle could not be with us today, but he did provide us a video message. Caudle is the commander of Navy Fleet Forces Command, and he's responsible to fight our fleet and provide those forces to our warfighting commanders around the country. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Admiral Caudle.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor for me to address you virtually today as we celebrate those completing the 2024 Talent Pipeline Program. To the employers, employees, and your families, congratulations, or as we say in the Navy, bravo Zulu, shipmates. My name is Admiral Caudle, and for those who are unsure what I do as the U.S. Fleet Forces Commander across my many duties and responsibilities, I am charged with organizing, training, and equipping a force of over 125,000 sailors and civilians with hundreds of ships, submarines, aircraft, and support facilities across the U.S. Atlantic Fleet that can ultimately prevail in high-end conflict while meeting the objectives of our operational commanders. This is a tremendous responsibility, but an even larger honor to lead our finest warriors at this level. In short, we protect America and our homeland from attack and go forward to defend our interests around the world, and if needed, win decisively on terms favorable to the United States. So first, please accept my regrets that I could not be there with you in person to celebrate. This program that Joe Barto, PEO Submarines, and the Navy placed and run in 2021 in Pennsylvania is growing at an eye-watering pace, and my schedule could not support my attending in person. it still brings me great pleasure to be able to participate in the conclusion of one chapter of your lives and the beginning of what will be the next phase of an incredible part of your professional journey. And what an exciting day it is. To the employees, welcome to the Defense Industrial Base. You are now an elite member of the foundation that supports our world-class Navy. You're part of something truly special. No one else is able to sustain a combat fleet of conventional and nuclear-powered warships at such a high tempo over the class life cycle of 30, 40, or even 50 years. You should all be extremely proud. I know I am. It's impossible to see the talent before me today and not be excited and confident in the future of our country. That is why I had to be part of this day, to take the opportunity to share the need for industry and the Navy to cooperate and partner to improve fleet maintenance so we can sustain forces forward during a high-end fight, because that is the job of everyone there in the room, to deliver the foundation and infrastructure the Navy and most importantly our sailors need so that we can fight and win our nation's wars. We have fallen a long way from the height of World War II, where our shipbuilding industry built almost 9,000 naval vessels and employed some 650,000 Americans from 1943 to 1945. Today's number of personnel working in the shipbuilding industry is around 105,000, a 600% reduction from the height of World War II. One last stunning fact that I hope you're aware of is more than half of the world's shipbuilding output came from China last year, making it the leader in shipping industry by a very large margin. What does all that mean for us and those in uniform? A deep concern for our Navy's future combat power. Without the help and commitment from extraordinary patriots and professionals like yourself, the idea of being something bigger than just a job, but service to your nation. But before I get too far ahead of myself, let's cover what matters and why we're here today. On this signing day and the Talent Pipeline Program Acknowledgement Celebration, my message remains consistent. We must all work together to build concrete and accountable actions that will get our Navy ship and shipbuilding plan back on track. This initiative will ultimately allow fleet and type commanders to generate the forces needed to be ready, on station, and a force standing at the ready to surge and support contingency operations. No Navy in the world can do what we do. I will tell you as straightforward and as simply as possible. We need everyone listening and across the nation to be all in. Not only the ship and submarine building and repair industry, but the defense industrial base writ large. So celebrate today's occasion, because it is certainly an achievement worth enjoying. And I challenge you to continue to aggressively pursue excellence by becoming a master craftsman of the highest order. Put your personal touch on each ship you build, each part you fabricate, and each component you repair, and be proud. You will work hard, dedicated to a career that has real meaning to your family, to your community, to your Navy, and your nation, and certainly to the world. After all, when you see your ships doing great things like the Eisenhower Carrier Strike Group, who's out there right now, you will have the privilege of telling yourself, your loved ones, and everyone you know, I did that. I helped make my country safe and secure today. I do it every day. Thank you and congratulations, shipmates.
Pretty inspiring. Thanks, Admiral Caudle. I'd like to recognize some of the people that have helped put this program together, that are really responsible for it, that are not, some are not here today, many of them are. First, I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize Admiral Scott Papano, Matt Sermon, and Whitney Jones. We came together in December of 2020, right in the teeth of COVID, if you remember those days. And we came up with this idea that we could put something like this together, and we started in the Philly, 1st of April, 6 feet apart, all masked up. We tried to do a Zoom thing, nobody could get in. I mean, it was just madness. I walked out of that meeting, I looked at Matt Sermon, and I said, "Hey man, do you think this is really a good idea?" And he said, you go, you go. You're going to do it. And I'll tell you, this has been their credit because I'm privileged to lead a program where I work for an organization that every time I talk to them, the first thing they ask is, what can we do to help? Keep going. It's a privilege. So also I have to recognize my battle buddy, Erica Logan, who has kind of been, we've done this together as we've moved through in a very dynamic operational condition. Also new to the program here today is Lindsay Webster. Thanks for being here. Steve Nowicki, thanks for being here as well. I hope you fall in love today. Also like to thank each of the flag sponsors. So when we decided to put this together, we wanted to have each of the flags have a sponsor or one of the senior executives from the Navy. So you've already met Meganne Atkins, who is the Boston sponsor. Matt Sermon stepped up as the leader by example. He owns the Philly flag. Hampton Roads is led by Lisa Radoka. For those that don't know, Lisa is going to be transitioning into civilian life here at the end of the year. And we're really happy to announce that Justin Myers, who is the executive director for the carrier program, is going to become the sponsor for the Hampton Roads flag. My friend to the right, you'll hear from in a minute, Jeff Hiscox, runs the Pittsburgh flag. Stephanie Link, who does sustainment for the Virginia-class program, runs Long Island. Todd Weeks, who is going to be the PEO for Strategic Submarines on the 5th of June, is the Southern California flag lead and will continue to be the Southern flag lead when he becomes the PEO. And Mr. Mike McClatchy, who's the executive director for WS, is our Enterprise Plus flag lead. Also, it'd be remiss to thank IBAS. They were part of the original, the Industrial Base Analysis and Sustainment Group, led by Del Radcliffe, represented here today by Ed Miskowski. Ed, wherever you're at, raise your hand. Oh, there you are. Thanks, Ed, for being here. Also, this program was recognized by IBAS as one of 12 national imperatives for industrial skills recognized by the White House and the administration. And I have two of my teammates here. First, Telly Tucker in Advanced Training for Defense Manufacturing, Danville, Virginia, and Tim Fox out of Sneedy. Where you at, Tim? Sorry, there you go in the back. Always in the back of the room back there. Also, we have Roxanne Warren and Catherine Diaz from Blue Forge Alliance, who's a big part of our ladies. Thanks for being here today. Also, the shipbuilders are a huge part of this. It came up a little bit earlier. If you don't have the work, it's kind of hard to make a decision on whether or not you're going to be able to hire people. So having the shipbuilders involved has been critical from the very beginning. So we have Nancy Martin from General Dynamics Electric Boat, Nancy, and then Marissa Hodge from Newport News Shipbuilding, who's kind of been our point of contact there. So May is wedding season and it's signing day season. I feel like the wedding crasher. You know, we've seen that movie, you just go to wedding after wedding. Finally, we're at the end of the road. We started the month on the 7th of May in Hampton Roads. On the 14th, we went to Pittsburgh. On the 21st, we were in Long Island, where we had another first there, and we designated some plank owners. We were in Philly on the 23rd, and today we're here. So just to give you kind of a quick tale of the tape, Meganne talked about it earlier, 10,000 new employees into the Defense Industrial Base a year. Now that's a process metric. For all of you that are engineers like I am, the number of hired is a process metric. What's really the metric we're interested in? The number of hires or the number of keeps? The number of keeps. It's all about improving your workforce by the number of people who say after they're hired that I'm going to stay here as an engaged, productive teammate. So to produce that, we're now finishing up the 22-24 cohort. So on the 30th of June, we had 115 employers hire 905, and they've retained 615 so far, so for about a 65% first-year retention rate. In the 23-25 cohort that we're finishing the first year on, we have 291 employers that hired 2,793. And as of the 30th of April, we have 2,401 of those still on the books. That's a pretty damn good number. And it's because of the employers in the room have said that we need to change the nature of this, because the best part of this program is it'll put you out of the talent acquisition and retention business. At the end of the day, it's about workforce productivity. If you can stabilize your team, get more work out of the people you have, everybody wins. So how's this happen? I believe that life is about choices. Leadership is about a choice. At the end of the day, this is not an HR program, this is a leadership program. And the people that I'm going to talk to you later, that I'm going to introduce here in a minute, figured out very early on that this wasn't the thing that we delegated down to the very nice person at the end of the hall that was the HR manager. But to be successful with this, they had to own the program. So as we go and we sit with employers and we start talking about what we're trying to accomplish and the investment that the Navy is making in the program, we could always get one or two responses. The first response is, Joe, you just don't understand my business. This is so hard to find people. These young people today are just a bunch of crap. All they want to do is play on their cell phones. All they want to do is stay at home. And then we got the rest of them that want to do virtual work, and it's really hard to make stuff if they don't come to work. And so these are the ones that continue. And then, so that's about the time I start to gather my things, and I say, well, you just hang out in your little pity party over there and just have a really good time with that. Because that's the second response. The second response is, I understand that the future of my business is our ability to acquire the very best people and keep them in my company. They're the companies that own this program. They're the companies that are not willing to be a victim, but saying that I am going to run a better business and I'm going to take advantage of this service. You are a direct testament and living proof of American manufacturing power to own it, believe that people are good and want to do the right thing. And this is what high-performance organizations look and feel like. You here today are proving that you are a high-performance organization. Your performance has also confirmed our strategic planning assumptions. So every year we go through a strategic planning assumption with the senior leadership of the Navy, and we reconfirm why we're doing this. The first is, as Meganne talked about, the Navy demand for your manufacturing output is big and getting bigger, and it will be there for the next 20 years. So the demand is there. The second is that American unemployment, as long as it's between 3% and 4%, which is it is today, it basically means that anybody who wants a job that can have a job. So the idea that you can put an ad in the paper and 30 people show up, how's that working out for you? What it says is that you have to go out and find the right people, first convince them on why they should join your company, and then train them to be successful into the future. It's the only strategy that works. The other is, and I mentioned this earlier, is that this is not the big companies in America. Even though there are big companies like L3 Harris and others that are bigger organizations, but they all hire in small companies, 100-person, 200, 300-person companies where we focus our time. You, again, are the heartbeat of American manufacturing. Fourth, and probably the most important, is that you own it. Everybody, every employer here said, we want it. Pull it from us. There's no directive nature to the program. We're here to help you by understanding your situation, your environment, and how we can help you build the pipelines and the tools. That's why we made a decision in April of this year that we're going to start a national rollout of the program. The plan next year is we're going to grow organically in the 5 flags that are currently standing. On April 26th, we launched the 6th flag, which is in Southern California. And we're now in the middle of a national rollout called the Enterprise Plus flag that I'll discuss here in a minute. So as I turn it back over to our first employer here, I'd just like to personally thank you, the employers, all the training providers that are here today, the facilitators, the U.S. Navy, and the Program Executive Officer for Strategic Submarines, for believing and demonstrating that when we work together to a common mission, this program, in my humble opinion, is what is right and good about American manufacturing. Once again, answering the call for the defense of our country. What more noble mission? So, finally, I have one thing to say to the new hires. And it's a pretty big day for you guys, and I'm really excited for you. And I know I'm going to get a lot of my peers of my generation, to give me some feedback on this. You are the best America has to offer. This idea that you're no good is just completely erroneous. Your experience in your high schools, community colleges, and colleges was 100 times better than mine. You have been trained better. Our American institutions, you are the future of our country. Your job every day is to go to work and earn that reputation. Go to work, show up, do what needs to be done, help other people, want to be on the team. That is the most important criteria for your success in any of these companies in the world. Show it and prove that you're the best, and we'll give you that opportunity. You're part of a movement, not a moment. Something bigger than yourself. So first, I'd like to bring to the podium, we're going to do the 5 flags. So the program here is we're going to have the 5 flag leads come to the podium and introduce one employer to be able to talk about their experience from their flag's perspective in order to give us a big perspective on you're something as much bigger than yourself. So the first one I'll bring to the podium is Mr. Bruce Warner, who is the Philadelphia flag lead.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon. I am Bruce Warner, and I've had the honor and the privilege of leading the Philly flag for the last 3 years. We're proud to be the launching point for this program in 2021. We started with 6 employers that first year, and we grew to 31. In cohort 2, we grew to 59. This year, we have grown to 74 employers who have hired 661 defense industrial base new hires. So our goal for next year is 100 companies, and 100 plus, I think. I think we'll exceed that 100, thanks to the network coaches and everybody else that we've had in the team. So now I'd like to introduce the employer that's going to be speaking for the Philadelphia employers, and he's Mike Brawley from Kingsbury Incorporated. He's the president and CEO. Kingsbury has been a employer partner since the beginning of the program for 3 years. They were our first best practice model, so they're well entrenched in the program and all of the tools. They've been very supportive from the beginning, and I'm proud to bring to the podium Mike Brawley.
Well, thank you, Bruce, and thank you for the 3 years of running the flag, and looking forward to working with Vince and Lonnie going forward. Of course, thanks to the Navy, thanks to Joe and the TMG crew. A lot of inspiration here today. And Joe, if you want to move to Philly, we're looking to hire. So, sorry, not trying to steal her. Yeah, so first of all, I'm honored to be here today to represent 78 companies in the Philadelphia area. Smallest company is 8 people, and the largest is a couple thousand at Philly Shipyard, I believe. So just as I'm sure in New England here, this spans a range of different types and sizes of companies with all different needs. But we all share a need for good people. I'm President and CEO of Kingsbury, a 110-year-old company, 112-year-old company now actually. Got started in the hydro industry. There was a Dr. Kingsbury that invented the product. We make specialty fluid film bearings for rotating equipment, big power industrial equipment. Our second, and I'd say one of our proudest industries is the defense industry, and particularly the Navy, U.S. Navy, and our allies, as well as some other defense applications. Kingsbury is a great place to work. I came 35 or 6 years ago thinking I'd be there 5 years. It's a great product. We work for great people. It's still owned by the Kingsbury family, one of the representatives here, our chairman of the board, Yves Clulo. Fourth and fifth generation ownership. It's a place where a lot of us come and we decide this is the place to be for a career. We had a lot of growth in the 80s and 90s. We hired a lot of skilled labor, particularly in our Philadelphia plant. We have plants in Wisconsin, and we have small plants in California and Germany. A lot of growth in the 80s and 90s. So what we found in the early 2000s into the 220 era, we were going to lose a lot of those people. And where are we going to find those people? What we learned, as I think a lot of you probably have, the paradigm has certainly shifted over that time frame. The supply of skilled labor just isn't there as much anymore. A lot of referral hires, a lot of family generational hires, not as many cousins and sons and daughters in the skilled labor force. So what do we do differently? And we found, as Joe has said, hiring is not an HR problem. Talent acquisition, and especially retention, not an HR problem. It's a full company problem. It's a leadership problem. So you do have to recognize, and the companies here today, you've recognized that. That's why you're here. What Joe asked to share was what are some of the lessons learned that we've had in some of the other companies in the Philly flag after 3 years. So number one, it's making sure leadership at all levels and ownership gets involved in this and drives this. You can't drive this from a position where you run into budget constraints or you run into priority constraints. So make sure that leadership gets involved in this. If you need help with that, the networks that have been built, especially the flags that have been around for a couple of years, reach out to them. Ask them to talk to some of your leaders. Ask them to talk to the people that might be saying, I'm not so sure about this. You know, this is a big ask. This is a big change in how we do things, but we have to change how we do things. At the Philly signing day last Thursday, one of the comments made, and I'm not exactly sure, I can't remember who said it, but they said usually the government comes and says, I'm from the government, I'm here to help. You know, we all get really, really scared. That's not been the case here. When Matt Evans and Whitney Jones contacted us and said, we're doing this new rollout of this program, it's about being able to identify and improve your pipelines for skilled labor, it was an easy yes to say, sure, more than happy to be involved, let's take the visit. Joe Barto and Matt Sermon came and visited us, and you know we were saying yes before we even sat down. The lessons learned for us were you really do have to include everyone in your hiring. This is, again, not just an HR problem. We had to get the hiring managers, the foremen out in the shop floor. They were getting frustrated because they weren't getting any good recruits, but they weren't responding to the resumes that were being sent in a timely fashion. And when you've got low supply and high demand, the best are going to go away pretty quickly. So this was all what happened. Some of the tools that were shared with us in the talent acquisition and retention training programs. It's a big toolkit, a lot of tools that TMG brings. And the government will help you in this case, but they're not going to do it for you. TMG can't do it for you. You know, you have to own this. You have to do it yourself. You have to embed it into your company strategy and your company tactics. For us, the best tools, the recruiting days were great, especially for entry-level hires. Realistic job profiles, again, especially for entry level. The hiring for fit and then training, critical. But we also had a lot of success, and I love the phrase new collar, but you know, we would have called it white collar at the time. The engineering and other services, and not just entry-level, experience, skill. The tools that we developed, the world-class first day, we call it get your bearings, right, because we're a bearing company. the fifth metric scorecard, which gives you the data and the metrics that you need to be able to understand what your supply, what your demand signal is, understand, what you're going to need and when, what the overlap period is for training new people. All those tools, they were critical in hiring experienced people. The employee referrals, building out an employee referral system that one of the other companies in the program said really worked well for them. It's been a big hit for us. So not every tool will apply to every company. Listen to the other people in this network and in the other networks, because there are a lot of best practices, and people are more than willing to share what's worked for them and what hasn't worked for them. So I'll offer to any of you, if any of you want to reach out and ask me for my guidance, my help, if I can talk to anybody in your leadership, I'd be more than happy to do that. And last, I want to say thank you to the companies involved here, and most importantly, congratulations and thanks to the new hires. What you're doing does make a difference. It matters, and I thank you.
Hey, good evening. My name is Vince Jordan, and I'm the leader of the Pittsburgh flag of the Talent Pipeline Program. Over the last year, our team has had 63 employers in the program. Of that, 54 made it through the year, with 46 announcing hires of at least one new teammate, for a total of 535 new teammates across the flag. It was a great year. We also recorded 185 new hires from the first cohort, the 22 through 24, that celebrated their first year anniversary with the team. Because as you heard Joe say earlier, and as we always repeat, it's not how many you hire, it's how many you keep. And so that's the goal. As we look to our next cohort, we're on our way to adding 100 companies, employer partners to the team, many of them staying over from the current cohort. So today, representing the Pittsburgh flag employer partner team is Schroeder Industries, who have been in the Talent Pipeline Program for 2 years now. Schroeder Industries is the industry leader in advanced fluid conditioning and produces thousands of hydraulic test points incorporated into every submarine and aircraft carrier. Schroeder was our best practice employer for this cohort, implementing the entire tool set. It is my pleasure to introduce Schroeder Industries Director of Manufacturing Operations, John Ciora.
Hi, my name is John Ciora. I'm the Director of Operations at Schroeder Industries. We employ about 250 people in 2 different locations, one in Cumberland, Maryland, and Leetsdale, Pennsylvania is our headquarters. I want to thank TMG, the Navy. I want to definitely thank Command Master Chief Hiscox. When we joined this program, I asked him to come speak at our facility. Gus Schroeder and I, we could talk to the people, talk to our teammates about how important it is to manufacture. But to have somebody from the Navy come to your place and explain how critical the parts that you make and the things that you manufacture that are going to secure our nation, it's such a powerful message compared to what we do. We reiterate a lot, we repeat a lot, but to hear something like that is awesome. So thank you very much. Like Vince was saying, we make hydraulic filtration products for military mining, the Navy. And we got into this program 2 years ago, best practice model a year ago, so we're finishing up our year. And, everything that everybody said about fifth metric, the conversations that you have because you're engaged with everybody in your company, the one-on-ones, you get an intimate relationship with everybody in your company, and that's the most important thing. It's crucial that your leadership team has a trust foundation, and having trust incorporates a cohesive leadership team, which happens by knowing each other, okay? Not, walking past somebody in a hallway and saying hi. It's getting to know the person and getting to work with that person. So I want to thank everybody, and if you're new to this program, give it a shot. It really works. We're really into processes, continuous improvement, lean manufacturing. This is right in our wheelhouse, and it's worked tremendously. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kevin Barto, and I am the leader of the Virginia Talent Pipeline Project. Over the last 2 years, our team has grown exponentially. You've heard it many times tonight, starting with a small group of employers that believed in us with a demand signal roundtable meeting, and then to where we are at today. Over the last 2 years, our program has grown exponentially in the Hampton Roads region. We've grown from not just employers in the Hampton Roads region of the 7 cities and the 757, but we have employers reaching all the way down into Charleston and Charlotte and moving into the western part of the state in Virginia. This year, over the last 2 years, we've had 83 employers participate in the program, resulting in over 1,500 new hires into the defense industrial base. Of that, we're probably hovering around an 83% retention rate so far. So a huge progress that we've made in the last couple years. Today, representing the Virginia flag employer partner team is Fairlead, who's been in the talent pipeline program for 3 years and is an industry leader with 4 divisions, specializing in the construction of large sections of ships and submarines, designing, manufacturing, and the integration of complex power and control products and modular mission systems, the maintenance and repair of ships and other vessels, and the docking and storage of ships and other critical components. Fairlead has truly led the way in Virginia. Fairlead was one of the 2 original best practice model employers in 21-22. They started in the program as a member of the Pennsylvania Talent Pipeline Program, and is the plank owner founding partner for the Virginia Talent Pipeline Project. Our speaker that I'm getting ready, that is going to bring up has been a huge champion of our project. Fred Pasquin, the president of Fairlead, trusted us and said this is a great idea, and without his guidance, support, and being our cheerleader, our program would not be where it's at today. So it's my absolute privilege to introduce Fred Pasquin, president of Fairlead.
Sorry, I felt like I had to hug Kevin for that intro. Thank you, Kevin. My name's Fred Pasquin, and it's an honor to be here and talk to you this afternoon and close out the program in the next 45 minutes. And with that, we have an enormous amount of gratitude for what the Navy's doing and TMG leading all this. And it was real easy to get up this morning at 4 to fly here and be here for that. But that was the secondary reason for coming. I want to represent the companies in Hampton Roads, and I'm also born and raised in New England. Those of you from New England, if you don't mind, how many of you, when we say Hampton Roads, really don't know where that is? See, okay, exactly. So it's a real problem for our region because it is float town in the United States of America. It has the largest port in the world down in around Norfolk, Virginia. It has the largest naval base in the world. It has the largest shipbuilder in the country, Newport News Shipbuilding, with 30,000 employees. It has Norfolk Naval Shipyard. It has the 2 largest non-nuclear shipyards in the country with BAE Systems and Kiwanis. So it's a maritime community. And it's been a wonderful experience to see the 83 companies that Kevin just talked about really show their patriotism to this nation. Because patriotism is easy when it doesn't cost us anything. But when it starts costing individual companies their best ideas that maybe we see as in the business world intellectual property, and we may not be eager to share those things. But when you start seeing 83 different companies say, it's a lot bigger than myself, it's a lot bigger than our company, it's about getting the workforce to go do what the nation needs us to do. Well, that's just a wonderful group to be part of. That's just what patriotism should look like, is that it's going to cost every single one of us in this room something at some time to really say, we're a patriot. And when we get to experience that, and that's what we've gotten to do in Hampton Roads in Southeast Virginia, that's been a great experience. I'll leave you with a couple personal notes, because nobody remembers artifacts. We really only tend to remember stories. So I'll share 2 short stories with you. I came to this aquarium for the first time when I was 12 years old. It was the first time being in the city of Boston, first time being in a big city. Is there anybody in here first time in Boston today? Couple, yeah, okay, couple people. But what I want to share with you, and the reason, what really got me out of bed this morning was all of you who came up here and joined the companies you joined and being part of the industrial base, because it's great to see the shift that we're seeing in our nation. And I'll tell you, a generation ago, that wasn't quite the case. And being a generation removed from it, I can say I grew up in a manufacturing community in northern Maine, Millinocket, Maine, and it had the biggest paper mill the world had ever seen in the 1970s. And I remember my grandfather was a proud machinist, and I remember him telling me in high school, "Hey, Freddie, you're too smart to work in the paper mill. You need to go to college." I'm like, "Oh, okay, Grampy, I'll do that." And how many of you been to Millinocket, Maine before? Just show of hands. Okay, so you know it is literally, it's on the edge of the English-speaking world in the United States, right? It's 90 miles, you don't cross a road, you go into Quebec, and everybody there speaks French. So it's literally on the edge of the English-speaking world here in North America. But it built the largest paper mill the world had ever seen. And so in the 90s, I was told, go to college. So I did that and got an engineering degree and enjoyed that, but was told, you know, you really should expand more. And so I went to graduate school for business. And I had this accounting professor at the time who had to get some plumbing work done. And the plumber had to come in on a Saturday, and it was emergent. And the two of them really hit it off. And the accounting professor and the plumber didn't have anything to do after that. So the accounting professor said, "Hey, do you want to stick around and have a cup of coffee?" And the guy said, "Yeah, sure, I don't have anything else going on." So he gets a couple cups of coffee. And then he said, "Well, Chris," was the accounting professor's name, Chris Metcalf. "Chris, I need to give you the bill now. It's the worst part of the job, but it's part of what I have to do. I did just fix your plumbing." So he gives him the bill, and the accounting professor looks at the bill. He's looking at the bill going, and the plumber said, listen, I only charged you for the time I was doing the plumbing. And the accounting professor goes, "I know, I just can't believe it, because I'm a certified public accountant and I can't charge that much an hour." True story. The plumber said back to him, he said, "Yeah, that's a funny story, Chris. When I was a certified public accountant, I couldn't charge that much an hour either." That's a true story. And because our country really, really values those of us who work with our hands and our minds. You know, we talk about the new collar, but I think about it as working with our hands and minds. And that's what all of you who join these companies, that's what you get to do every day. You get to be part of something that's so much bigger than ourselves. So you get to be part of what people really care about. Because I'll leave you this last story, and this is something I shared with the Virginia cohort. My wife took this trip a couple weeks ago while we were doing the signing day in Virginia, and she was gone for 17 days. We've been married 25 years. We've never been apart that long. And so sometimes when you're apart for a while, you have these revelations about, well, this is interesting. I didn't know this. And the most profound thing for me was our household could survive for 17 days straight without an Amazon delivery coming to the house. Like, not one Amazon package showed up in 17 days. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. We can survive without 5 Amazon packages showing up to our house every day. But the reality of it is because who cares if Amazon exists? Okay, it makes my life, does it make it better? Sure. Is it nice? Okay, I want new socks. Hit a button, the new socks come a couple days later. But it's not critical. It's not necessary. It's not crucial to humanity. The United States Navy is all those things. It's more crucial to humanity right now than ever in any time that we've known. And so to be part of it and to be able to use our hands and minds every day, you should be honored, because those of you who use your hands, always trust the calluses when you shake someone's hand. You can trust those calluses. Be proud of those calluses. Thanks for all you're doing.
Thanks, Fred. As the flag league for New England and showing our support for the National Signing Day, I'd like to introduce our employer partner who will be representing the New England Flag Pipeline, Talent Pipeline Flag, and was our Cohort 1 best practice model. Hutchinson Aerospace and Technologies CEO Bob Anderson.
I'm not sure I wanted to follow Fred, you know, that's going to be tough. He really is, we've stolen shamelessly in our first year of being part of the flag a lot of what Fred has learned how to do very well from many of his networking episodes, I think. As was said, I'm Bob Anderson. I've been with Hutchinson 9 years. I'm the guy who gets the privilege of leading a gang of really outstanding people, and as Fred said, who love making things. You know, the joy, the satisfaction of producing a product. I feel extraordinarily privileged, and today's just more of that, to look at this audience and realize the quality and the sophistication and frankly just the in-your-gut pride of what we all do as manufacturers. Normally in my employee meetings, I take a minute, and I'm going to do that today. Look to the person left or right, pound fist, just say, outstanding, thank you for what you do, please. Yeah. Yeah. It's not done enough, you know. You've heard a couple of my peers here with a lot more experience than we have in the flag talking about how wonderful the people in this industry are. And again, we're a company that has that kind of population. Hutchinson started in the early 40s with the Navy. The first product that was made in the early 40s was when the Navy at that time was trying to get radar, a brand new technology, to work on a Navy ship. And it didn't, it wouldn't. It was a professor from MIT who developed the first isolator that allowed radar to be effectively used on a Navy ship. We still make that product today. We're still very proud of that product. The drawings, the original drawings for that product are in our conference room, and every employee in Hutchinson knows the history of where Hutchinson came from, and it started with the Navy. I think the thing I hear through every presentation, you know, none of us does the whole thing. The whole thing is bigger than all of us. But like Hutchinson, what we do really is necessary, or the most advanced, marvelous technology mankind has ever came up with simply wouldn't work. The systems that technology goes in would not function. In our case, those systems require dime-size isolators up to large, large isolators. You know, you would not have landed on the moon, without Hutchinson's isolators. The 5 rovers in Mars would never have landed safely on Mars without isolators. And those wonderful videos, any of you see the videos from the Perseverance rover on Mars? Have you seen those? Those videos, amazing optical technology, will not work without isolators. And I think it's so easy to not realize what we do, seemingly small, in the scheme of these amazing technical successes, really, really does matter. We're a company that is very engineering and manufacturing based. I'm probably in my CE role, I think it's of my 9th company, okay? I've spent my whole career knowing, and it's really wonderful, that when you have a group of people who are growing, and they're in an environment where that growth is sponsored and supported, the business that's creating that environment is going to grow. It doesn't really happen any other way. Sustainably, it can happen in the short term. But if you're going to build a company that really grows, people in that organization have to be growing first. And this is what, when I met Joe for the first time, now almost a year ago, he knew, I knew, he knew that we valued people. It's the wonderful thing about the TMG program. It puts people where they need to be as the most important asset of any balance sheet that any successful company has. And in just 1 year, I honestly feel we have a friend, an organization, and yes, a government and a Navy that's sponsoring the wonderful work of TMG to put people first. It's not really that hard to do, although we're not horribly practiced at it at this stage of where business has gone. So we're new. I mean, we're 1 year. You, with us in the flag, are only 1 year into this. I was asked to talk about what TMG has meant for the flag, so I talked to a few of my peers. I'll be the first one to say one of the things that I'm looking forward to do in the 2nd year of the flag is a much, much better job of networking. All of you who have been in flags longer, and some of the folks even in this flag in New England, will tell you the most valuable part of the flag is the ability to network. And I've heard that from all of you who've been at this longer than we have. We are a growing company. I think it was Dan who said, you know, we are practiced at the hard work of growing a business. That hard work includes things like getting capital approvals, really complex program management, product qualification, product inventions and development. And when you get all done with that, and we've been through this in the short time I've been with Hutchinson, you're staring smack in the face of the really, really hard work, which is where you're going to get the people to do what you've spent this time, money, to build capability for. When I started, Hutchinson had been a declining company. I was brought in to recreate growth. And fortunately, Hutchinson allows people like me to do what I love to do, which is manufacture at a very, very efficient and effective way. More than that, I love to see people achieve their potential. And the tools that I see TMG bringing, you know, you can be very impressed with those tools, because the eloquence of those tools is that they are simple. They're not hard to do. I remember going through, like all of you, the COVID period. We were coming out of COVID. Like everybody, it took 20-30% of our sales. We got through that. But I call it the darkness after the COVID storm, because for up until very recently, trying to recruit and retain people has been an enormous, enormous challenge. We've gotten much better at it in just the 1 year we've worked with TMG. I should take a minute. We've got our HR folks here and some of our managers, some of our engineering project leaders, some of their families. You know, what we're talking about here, and several of you have said it, as a manager, a leader, you have to own this process. It's not somebody else's problem. And genuinely, core to our culture is the belief, back to if people are growing, the people in that business is growing also. It doesn't work any other way. It's as simple as I think what you said, Joe. And it's wonderful. It's wonderful. It's almost like you got to prove to the world that this works. But when it does, I think that's what I'm looking forward to with the networking, because all of you who have been at this longer, you're the validation of what people have kind of gotten out of sorts with. And that's the simplicity of putting people first. When I talked with my peers, again, the number one most common benefit of TMG and the flag this 1 year has been networking. For us, and myself personally, our benefit has been we came out of the darkest part of the post-COVID storm basically as a company that had become kind of a revolving door. So we were recruiting at an enormous frequency. We had our very best people training those new recruits, only to find those people after 2 weeks leaving. So the double whammy to that was our very best people, with a sense of pride for what they set as their own personal standards for productivity and contribution, they were becoming very, very frustrated. It's no secret when you're training someone new, you're probably not running at your optimum capacity. So in our company, that became an even bigger problem. Here we are growing. We're not able to recruit or retain. Well, we were getting better at recruiting, we thought, but retention was the challenge. I think I'm saying that the way Joanne Cook up there would agree. We were very fortunate. We found, I'm looking at our recruiter, we hired a full-time recruiter, a young gentleman who knows how to talk to people. And we then got busy with some of the basic tools that we felt would be necessary and different than some of the other people in the flag. We felt that if we weren't training our managers, you know, the number one reason people are leaving is because the person they're working for is not the person they want to work for. And because of the turnover, we had a very young management team. We had skipped a lot of the necessary development steps in order just to have someone in a manager role. So we quickly got on board with TMG in the key areas of management training. The fifth scorecard was a revelation for our young managers and supervisors. They had never really found a tool as simple to use, and many of you have pointed out the dialogue that comes from a regular review of the fifth metric is really pretty special. Much more than advertised, I would say. And I think I want to say to Bo and Joe and Brian, you've been kind of out of the limelight here. These three guys were able very quickly to demonstrate they knew their subject matter. I mean, they could teach things like the fifth metric scorecard. Much more important than that was the fact that they became coaches. okay? They came back. They reinforced the training, and they helped employees who were using a tool for the very first time. I think the most important, or I'll say the most sincere, what I call it, the most sincere thank you is our employees, in a very short period of time, saw the TMG coaches as excellent trainers. Much more importantly, they found them very quickly to be trusted coaches. Our employees would have conversations with the TMG coaches they wouldn't have with their own management. And that was a really neat thing to see, and very special. So Ryan, Joe, and Bo, thank you for that. And you know, always, always, our employees look forward to the time they spend with TMG. That's been huge for us. We also are just now starting the realistic job preview. We just did videos last week. It was interesting to hear some of the folks who started with that before, like we did on training, and we've had all the same experiences. You know, we had employees that, no, I don't want to be on camera, I'm not comfortable. You know, superstars when you put them in front of a camera. And now the employees who said they want to know why they weren't and how can they be involved in the next video tapings. So there's a lot of positive things that all of you have experienced that are a bit further along with the overall talent pipeline program. What I would say, just, am I supposed to get off here? Look, I just, it really is an honor. I mean, I guess that word's been used a lot today, but really an honor to be around this impressive level of human beings, okay? With purpose, with a love for making things, a love for technology. Those are really special things. So thank you for letting me be part of that and the Hutchinson organization. You know, I keep, because I'm really excited. We just 5 years ago, we built a high security facility to begin doing business with the submarines. First time we'd ever been on subs. In 4 years, this week, got approval to more than double the size of that facility because business with the submarine in the Navy is that good, okay? And Hutchinson made the commitment knowing this country needs the kind of industrial base that it doesn't have right now. So what we're learning is, and you should be very proud of this, there are companies who can do technically sophisticated things. There are companies who can do things under security that most of these businesses require. There are even companies who can manufacture consistently good quality. This is a rare group that does all three of those, or you can't be in the room. It's a rare group. And again, I'm very, very privileged to be part of that. I'll finish because I feel... just a little? Okay. Yeah. So, you know, when I met the TMG folks, like I said, they knew, we knew, they knew, we knew we were going to fit. A lot of the fundamentals of the TMG models that all of us have talked about are the fundamentals that I've been exposed to in other ways. They're the basics of good leadership and good people treatment. And I still remember when, Joe, you said, let's keep playing to win, okay? Let's keep playing to win. And I'm looking forward to that with all of you in the next year and the year after that as we move forward. Thank you very much.
Last, but I promise not least. As we spoke earlier, I've had the privilege of the last year serving as the Network 1 coach here in Massachusetts. I am currently transitioning, though, out onto Long Island to run the Long Island flag of the New York Talent Pipeline project. We started this year, we ended this year with 27 employers that hired 125 new hires on the island in Long Island. As we look to cohort 2, our goal is to reach 60 active and engaged employers by November, which we are well on our way to accomplishing. Today, representing the Long Island Flag Employer Partner Team is Curtiss-Wright Target Rock, which is one of the founding employers and deck plane owners of the Long Island Flag. Located in Farmingdale on Long Island, Target Rock was founded in 1951 to meet the special severe service valve requirements of the United States Nuclear Navy. Target Rock is today the premier supplier of highly engineered valves and related products to both the U.S. Navy nuclear fleet and the global nuclear power generation industry. In fact, the first Target Rock valves were installed on the USS Nautilus, the U.S. Navy's first nuclear-powered submarine. It is my honor and privilege to introduce the Senior General Manager of Curtiss-Wright Target Rock, Mr. Jim White.
There's one problem with going last. Everything's been said. So I'm going to start with how thankful I am to be here. Several reasons. I got VIP on my name tag. Doesn't happen very often. I'm representing New York in Boston. I grew up in Rhode Island, and I'm a Boston everything fan, so I got to get a little bit of slack for that, right? And my kids hate me because they stood strong, Boston strong the whole time, getting beat up in junior high and everything. But back to the message. The real reason I'm happy to be here is I am so darn passionate about what we do. My dad was in the Air Force. I got 2 boys who are Marines. This is my service. It really is important. We've had several people say, we didn't even know we were part of a submarine. Small parts. A submarine doesn't go to sea without every part. Every single part. So Curtiss-Wright, in general, we've been all in on defense for over a century. As you heard from Joey, Target Rock since the early 50s on the very first nuclear submarine. The stuff we make, it matters. I happen to feel, so we're often referred to as a valve company, but I say we're more of an engineering company that happens to sell valves. The valves we put on the ships, they're life-of-platform valves. In many respects, they build the sub around our valves. They've got to last 60 years. That starts with the people who make the parts. And that's really what we're here today about. You're joining a great industry, a really great industry, and you can believe and be very proud that what you do matters, right? We don't want to send our men and women of all branches of the service into a fair fight. China can build a lot of ships. And it's true that quantity is a quality all its own, but we need to stay at the technological forefront. We need to be better. And it starts right here. It starts with the new hires that we just saw come across this stage earlier today. So I'm old. I was going to break out my phone like I was reading something to make me feel younger, but I'm old. I've been with Curtiss-Wright more than 30 years. I still feel young at heart. I still feel really good about going to work and doing what we do. So the last thing I wanted to say, it takes grit to be in this business too. Nobody says it's going to be easy. And the thing I like best about Joe's team, it's a teach companies how to fish, not fish for them process. The relationships are great. I mean, Kingsbury and Fairlead, if I wasn't hooked already when I heard the testimonials from their companies over a year ago on Long Island, that was, boom, we're in. But it does take work. When we had our meeting at Target Rock, we put 80 people in a room. That's an investment, right? The heartbeat leader's in the middle. Every manager and mid-level manager, high-level senior leadership team, we call them, everybody there, so that the heartbeat leaders knew and understood that we were with them. Not over them, not under them, not by them, with them every step of the way. Because when they have a problem, they need to know I can turn to somebody that's going to help. And so there's work to this, but it definitely is a can't afford not to do it versus a can't afford to do it. We have to do this, and success begets success. So that's why the numbers are growing so great. Thank you all.
My name is Bill Miele, and I'm the flag lead of Southern California, one of the newest flags. No employers to come up, okay, this year. We just started off, okay, beginning of January, with a request by the Navy to establish a flag in Southern California. So I'm proud and honored to be here. April 26th was our demand signal roundtable. You know, it was held, the event was chaired by our sponsor, Admiral Todd Weeks. 52 companies, 18 facilitators came together, participated in the event, which concluded with the Admiral Weeks giving the charge to establish a flag in Southern California. Now, for those that haven't been to Southern California, when you look at the entire region, it's large. 200 miles from north to south, 180 miles from east to west, so we've got a large territory. But in this area, we have two major hubs of activity, one in San Diego and one in Los Angeles. Certainly over the next years, we'll expand to San Francisco, which is the third major hub. In that, 52 employers represent a cross-section of the entire defense industrial base. 2/3 of the companies are less than 50 people. 1/4 of the companies are from 50 to 250 people. Not much different than what we've heard today, and definitely representative of what we have as the defense industrial base. If you look at the products and process, there's pumps, valves, piping systems, sensors, bearings, gears, the entire transmission. The companies that are involved, they provide CNC machining, heat treating, welding, painting, coating, ship repair and fabrication services. This is all represented in Southern California, and it's one thing that I did not know coming into being the flag lead, even though I reside in Southern California. It was absolutely amazing to me the extent and the amount of business, amount of product coming from that region that helps support, this business. I've known Southern California more as an aerospace and defense, focus, but my impressions and such were changed through my experience with leading this program. Throughout the next 2 months, the employers will participate in the value stream mapping. We'll have network events, and we'll bring people together, so that we can share, best practices, and with that, be able to get to know each other. October 8th will be the onboarding. But the one thing I want to say, with this, as far as the flags, is that those 52 companies, a lot of it is an extension of the beginnings here, in the Northeast, in the East Coast. 18 of the 52 companies were actually from what we call friends and family. Those were those of you that participated, made referrals, 18 of the 52 came from you, making us aware and us recruiting and bringing them about. So I look forward, to working with all of you. It is an extension of us, of what's going on in Southern California and what you're going to hear
as we launch additional flags and all. But I thank you, okay, for being able to give this opportunity to introduce, and I look forward to working with all of you.
Thanks, Bill. So all of you have done work with the Navy. We're rounding the corner here for the last speaker to close us out. But I told you earlier that whenever I have a conversation with the senior leadership of the Navy, you know, Matt Sermon, Admiral Papano, and my defender here, Erica Logan, they all say, keep going, keep going. Now they keep on saying, but go faster, go faster. So the last flag that we're going to be implementing is the Enterprise flag. We are so empowered when 4 companies have decided that the experience they had in the program in the first 3 years, the senior leadership of the company has actually made the decision to roll the program out to the rest of their plants nationwide. So the first one is Fairbanks Morris Defense. I think Taylor came in. Taylor, raise your hand. Where are you? There you are, way up in the back. Taylor's the flag lead for the Fairbanks Morris Defense flag that we're going to be planning for their organization. Second one is Trident Maritime Systems. Mark Waters will be the flag leader. Fourth, Jim already talked about it, but Curtiss-Wright, and will be developing a flag for all their organizations. And the last and most recent is Fincantieri, which is a huge shift into the surface ship Navy that we have not been involved with so far. We also have 2 companies, SAIC and Lockheed Martin, that are going to activate their networks of suppliers as the Tier 1 suppliers and become also a standalone flag for their organizations. It's the way we're able to expand. The plus part of that notion is that Mr. Sermon told me that if any company in the country wants help, we're going to help them. We have 5 companies in the program now. Cogenics out of Colorado, Strowig in Wisconsin, Tampa Brass in Florida, Jared in Georgia, and Production Machine and Tool in Texas. The program has the momentum, but it would not be possible without the emotional support from our Navy. So I'm proud to introduce our closing speaker, who has been with us for the last year. And Command Master Chief Jeff Hiscox is a career submariner, is the Command Master Chief for the Team Submarines, and is a huge part of the emotional support that we get every day to make this program real. So Jeff, welcome to the podium. Thank you for what you do for us.
Thanks, Joe. Can everybody hear me all right? All right, so we know what time it is, right? I stand between you and a stiff drink, right? So we're gonna try to close out tonight. It's my job, public speaking. Navy's taught me how to read the room, understand what we got to do, and I understand, and it's no secret, to close out the night, why wouldn't we send the submarine in to do it, right? So I'm a career submarine sailor. I'm going to come in and I'm going to do the hard job. You saw the video when we started, right? Submarine sailors, we hold the line. So that's what we're going to do tonight. Give me about 10 or 15 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. Keep your attention, and we're going to deliver a good message tonight and close out, and then we're going to go over across the street, and we're going to have a good time and enjoy the reception. So what a month, Joe. It's been a good month. I've been at all of the talent pipeline signing days this month, and we started out in California, planting the flag out in California. I feel like I've been on the road all month, and then including last night down at the submarine capital of the world at one of our collaboration partners. I attended a signing event for Electric Boat, where they hired about a little over 220 newly or soon-to-be graduating high school seniors into Electric Boat at a signing event. And I thought it would be remiss of me to not open the night with the same remarks that I opened with last night at that event. So I went back and I talked about a graduation commencement address from 2014. And the address from 2014 was given by Admiral William McCraven, who at the time, he's retired now, at the time he was the admiral in charge of our Special Operations Command. And he was addressing the University of Texas And the University of Texas graduating class had 8,000 students, that graduating class, in 2014. And their motto for that year was, "What starts here changes the world." So when you think about that, it's pretty applicable to this group, the Talent Pipeline program, and what we do here. What starts here changes the world. So his theory was, those 8,000 students at the University of Texas, the average person in their lifetime is going to interact with 10,000 people in their lifetime. And Admiral McCraven said his goal was, those 8,000 students, he wanted you to impact 10 people over the course of your lifetime. Truly make a difference in 10 people's life. 10 people, truly change their life. And those 10 people then go on and change the life of 10 more people over the course of their lifetime. If the 8,000 students of that graduating class could do that, then over the course of 5 generations, 125 years, that graduating class of 8,000 students would change the life of 8 million people. So when you look at that, that's just a little bit less than the population of the United States. So if you look at their motto, what starts here changes the world. And if you add one more generation, 6 generations, that's 8 billion people. That's almost the population of the world. So then the Admiral would then go on to talk about his 25 years as a Navy SEAL, and he would give all these great leadership anecdotes about how to be successful in life. And if you look at my physique, I'm obviously not a Navy SEAL, and I'm not ever going to be one, right? So we're not going to do that, right? But what really matters is that what starts here changes the world. And the fact that I've been part of the Talent Pipeline program for a little over a year, I get to hear stories like Joe's all the time. And when you look at the numbers and you think about, well, man, impact 10 people and then those 10 people impact 10 people, I'll tell you right now, we're impacting more than 10 people at a time. It is impressive. It is absolutely impressive. So I just wanted to kind of open with those remarks, and I want you to think about that motto. What starts here changes the world. Because Fred talked about it. Fred talked about it. It's happening. It's happening right now. So the great thing about going last is everybody kind of said everything you're going to say. So it's pretty easy, right? I don't need to thank anybody, but there are a few, right? TMG, great job. All the network coaches in Boston, and then because this is the National Signing Day, all the network coaches, thank you. One thing I did want to do, all of the Submarine Industrial Base members, could you please stand up and get recognized? I think you're the only group that didn't get recognized tonight. So please stand up, SIB team. Thank you. All right, so let's get into it. So we're here to celebrate the new hires. Everybody that walked across the stage tonight are those that can't be here. The start of a new career, or for some of you who are a little bit up there in age like me, maybe it's the starting over of a new career. No matter the case, no matter the scenario, something exciting and something challenging awaits you. An opportunity for a family-sustaining wage over the next 20, 30, or 40 years, however long you decide to work. A trajectory of upward mobility if chosen. Tonight I want to talk about purpose. I want to talk about finding a job with purpose. Purpose beyond what many of you probably envisioned before embarking on a journey inside the submarine industrial base or the defense industrial base. So what's the purpose? And a lot of you talked about it tonight. Achieving and sustaining a submarine build rate of 1 Columbia class and 2 Virginia classes a year and sustaining our current operational fleet by 2028. That's the purpose. And you're often going to hear us refer to it as 1 + 2 + sustainment by 2028. That's the purpose. So what's your role in achieving this? How are you going to contribute to achieving this submarine building cadence over the next 40 years? Were you hired on in the trades? Are you a welder? Are you a machinist? Are you a metallurgist? Are you a non-destructive testing engineer? Are you a quality control, pipe fitter, sheet metal worker, painter, coding specialist, an electrician? Maybe your job is administrative in nature. Maybe it's at HR. Are you an accountant? Are you workflow, training, safety? It doesn't matter your position. It doesn't matter your title. You are contributing to national security. You're helping the United States of America exercise power projection and diplomacy from whatever shop floor or office
you work in. So how do we draw this line? And I always used to say blue collar, but Meganne and Fred, everybody hit on it. It's now new collar. With all the advanced technology, the additive manufacturing, the robotics, it's how do we draw the line from new collar workforce to a term we call strategic nuclear deterrence? How do we connect those? Our ability to project strategic nuclear deterrence comes from 3 legs, or a triad, if you will. The first leg of that triad is the Air Force, and the Air Force bombers. The Air Force bombers carry nuclear weapons, and they can be mobilized all over the country. They're above ground, they're visible, it's not always the most efficient means, and our enemies can see where those planes are going and when they're mobilized. I'm partial to the Navy, so I'm not always in favor of the Air Force in that leg of the triad. The next leg is our ballistic missile silos. Our ballistic missile silos are located all across the western half of the United States. They're relatively old, they're not mobile, and most of our foreign adversaries know where they're at. They're documented on a satellite image somewhere, and they're going to be targeted in an attack. And then you have our third leg, and that's our sea-based leg, and that's currently at sea on our Ohio-class submarine. A submarine that we designed to operate for about 35 or 40 years of life expectancy. If you look at some of our oldest Ohio-class submarines right now, some of them are pushing 44 or 45 years of life expectancy. So when you think about a submarine that was designed in the 60s and 70s to operate for 35 or 40 years, and we're pushing almost 40 years, 45 years right now, some of the tools, the parts, the valves, the components needed to keep those submarines operational, they're becoming pretty hard to find. It's becoming pretty difficult to keep them operational. So one of the greatest things about our sea-based nuclear deterrent, that third leg of the nuclear triad, is that it houses what we call our second strike capability. And that second strike capability, that's what keeps our bad actors, our foreign adversaries, that's what keeps them up at night. So you see, you could plan an attack that takes out our bombers, and you could target our silos, but those foreign adversaries, they never know where those submarines are at. They never know how many nuclear warheads they're carrying, and they never know where those submarines are at. You can't put a value on strategic assets like that. So the importance of replacing an aging Ohio-class submarine is incredibly important, and you heard everybody talk about why that's so important right now. So that foreign adversary, he's thinking in his head, I could do this and I could do that, but damn it, what about those submarines? Where are they? How many are there? So why now? Why is the time to build all these submarines? And again, the great thing about going last is you heard everybody talk about the reason why. But when you think about it, if you're walking across the stage tonight and you're going to work in the submarine industrial base or even the greater defense industrial base, but specifically if you're going to work on the Columbia-class submarine program, that's the #1 funded program in all of the Department of Defense. Think about that. Think about all of the things in all of the Department of Defense. The Columbia-class submarine is the #1 funded program. It is that important. Not B-1 bombers, not F-35s, not anything Black Ops, not anything you can think of. It's the submarine that carries our second strike sea-based nuclear deterrent. It's that important. So when we think about the purpose and the reason, right, and everything I just talked about, all of that is the secondary reason. We haven't even covered the most important reason on the submarine industrial base. So the most important reason can be summed up in 2 words. And those 2 words are not today. So I need you to repeat after me, just one so I can make sure everyone's still awake because I'm the last speaker, right? So everybody say, not today. Not today. That really sucked, so let's do it again. So let's go. So not today. Not today. It's kind of close. We'll go on with it. So not today. This is the reason. So every day, and I love it when Fred talks, right, because he kind of nails it with the Amazon piece, right? Every day in America, we wake up and we enjoy our way of life. All the freedoms and democracies and liberties, how we enjoy our life,
how we go about our day, right? Go to school, go to church, go do things with our kids, not a care in the world. We order Amazon, stuff shows up like that, right? We just, it's the instant gratification, me, myself, and I, right? But meanwhile, if you look across an ocean in either direction, there are bad actors in the world that wake up every single morning and they're looking in the mirror and they're asking themselves, is today the day that I threaten the United States or some other country, right? Vladimir Putin wakes up every day and he's like, is today the day that I threaten the United States or some other European NATO country with nuclear devastation? Am I ready to engage in some global conflict to which the U.S. is involved? In North Korea, Kim Jong-un wakes up and asks himself, how far can I antagonize South Korea before the United States will get involved? How many more missile tests directed towards Guam and Hawaii before I cross the line? Am I ready to engage in global conflict with the United States as a foe directly or in alliance with another country? In China, Xi Jinping wakes up and he asks himself whether the U.S. will respond to his continued bully-like behavior across the Indo-Pacific region. He says, if I decide today that today is the day that I take back Taiwan, will the United States respond in accordance with their doctrine? Am I ready to engage in a global conflict with the United States or its allies? And in the Middle East, Houthi rebel leaders, they're already answering the question of, is today the day? They're choosing to engage and fire upon commercial shipping, or in some cases, American naval vessels. They're quickly finding out that today is not the day, as our forces that are forward deployed are handling a multitude of munitions, missiles, drones, and everything else but the kitchen sink that's being fired upon them. And in every case, they're handling the business at hand. So when we go back to the purpose at hand, the purpose of your job in the submarine industrial base, in the defense industrial base, the greater good, being involved in something that's greater than your own self. It's this. It's your job, it's your trade, it's your work that forces these leaders to wake up every morning, get up, ask these questions, and then look in the mirror and say, damn it, today is not the day, right? Today is not the day that I take back Taiwan. I don't have the technology, I don't have the lethality, I don't have the capability to outmatch the United States or its allies in battle. Not today, I am not ready. Today is not the day that I invade or attack South Korea. Today is not the day that I threaten Europe or NATO countries with nuclear weapons. I am not ready for the consequences. I don't have the edge in this category or that category. You see, those two words, not today, they belong to you that walked across the stage tonight. They belong to you, your coworkers, your companies, and the 16,000 plus companies that support the submarine industrial base or the greater defense industrial base. That's your job for as far over the horizon as you can see. And it is a heavy responsibility to provide the submarine industrial base and the defense industrial base with the skills, the tools, the parts, the materials, and the workforce to ensure the military service branches have what they need to be successful. You need to provide us the capability, the capacity, the lethality, the technology, the efficiency, consistency, and most importantly, the quality to stay ahead of our peer competitors. And we used to have an awesome lead in that category, and that lead is shrinking. I'll tell you that lead is shrinking. You're the edge that this nation relies on, and you've always been the edge, the American workforce, the silent branch of the armed forces. You always answer the call when we need you. Everybody says that the submarine service is the silent service. That's not true. It's the American workforce that's the silent service. So for the younger kids that walked across the stage tonight, maybe this is your first job. You're just out here, you're trying to make it in life, trying to figure things out. If you're lucky enough to find your soulmate in life, maybe you're lucky enough to have kids, start a family, we're going to be doing this for a long time. We're going to need your kids. We're going to be building submarines for the next 40 years. The engineers, the welders, the machinists, the designers, the fabricators, the ones that are going to be working on them 25 years from now, they haven't been born yet. We need to think about that as a country. So when we go back to my opening statement, what starts here changes the world, that's truth. We have to look at it that way. This is a movement in history, not a moment in time. Meganne talked about we need 100,000 workers over the next 10 years. Those numbers are off. Every time we go back and we look at it, it keeps going higher and higher. Right now, we're projecting 140,000 workers over the next 10 years. Building Columbia-class and Virginia classes. Oh, by the way, there's a new fast attack submarine coming. We don't even have a name for it yet. It's called SSNX. That's what we do when we know there's one coming. And then we talked about the AUKUS program. So when we pull back the curtain and we look at all the opportunities that are out there, it's endless. So when you think about how your day went, on your way home, whatever it is that you do to unwind and relax, I want you to think about not today. I want you to think about how you contributed to national security by making a bad actor somewhere wake up and say, not today. You did that. So whether you wear the uniform of the Navy or a prior service veteran of any branch or a civilian government employee or contractor, you're an influencer in today's society. We're going to need your voice. We're going to need your help. When you step back and you look at what the Talent Pipeline program has accomplished over the last 4 years and how fast it's spread across the country and its success, it's really easy to look at all the companies that are involved and you look at the numbers and you review the data and you see the improvements that are being made. For me, it's easy to look back for just the year that I've been involved and to see the culture changes and improvements at the organizations that I've been able to visit. Companies that are using the tools provided to become better places to work, providing better environments for their employees, investing in the betterment of their employees that results in the personal and professional development of just overall better human beings. When we put the focus on making better human beings, better everything else just happens. We get better supply chain results. We get better capacity and capability at our shipyards and our shipbuilding facilities. We get better build rates of our submarines. We just get better. Let's continue doing it together. Congratulations to the Boston flag on your signing day. Good luck out there. And remember, not today, right? What starts here today changes the world. And I truly believe that because I've seen the story like Joe told time and time again, right? It's an honor to be up here and address you tonight. And I do want to say thank you, right, to all the companies. And I've heard all the companies come up here and they talk about, hey, I didn't even know we made parts for submarines. Right? Little parts. And submarines don't go to sea without all the parts. I will tell you as a career submarine sailor that I have 13 years, 3 months, and 17 days documented underwater. That's my time underwater operating submarines. For all the companies out there and for all the new hires out there, understand that we don't thank you enough. During my time underwater, never once have I operated a component, pushed a button, touched a valve, done anything on that submarine, and in the back of my mind wondered, oh gosh, I hope this works. We take it for granted. We take it for granted that you give us quality products. So thank you for that. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. And I'm 2 minutes over, so let's enjoy our night and let's go have a drink. Thank you.
Thank you, Command Master Chief. Truly an inspirational message. This concludes today's event. Please stand for the departure of the official party. Remain standing for important reception information following their departure.